This magician is simply not scientific. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76 Angel, Featherblade. As Tucker gradually observed, a lot of information was dug out by Tucker. It is confirmed to be resonance. And the correlation is very strong. It's just, the appearance of these light balls themselves is irregular, and they are in the flow of the steam ring of the steam tower. I overlooked this point. Putting aside their positions, purely in terms of rhythm and response, there is 100% no problem. Since the feather blade of the Angel of Light can resonate. That's easy, after all, resonance can transmit power without contact. At the same time, the resonant body can also be moved. After realizing that the feather blades of the angel sequence of high dimensions can resonate, Tucker already had an idea in his mind. Tucker cut into the veins again, looking for the light balls, following the veins of light, upstream. Soon, Tucker reached a critical point. But this time, Tucker did not go in again. Instead, he used the veins as a bridge. The reason why those light balls can resonate with a steam tower is mainly because the carrier mechanical metal of the light sequence deep inside resonates. But this resonance is too weak. And, because the dimension is too deep, that ball of light couldn't even last long. The interruption of the channel was a fatal blow to the resonance. At this time, what Tucker had to do was to use his steam core to transform the resonance of the tower into his own resonance, and then use the veins to conduct his own resonance to track the resonance of the light mechanical feather blade. In this way, there would be a chance to absorb the metal feather blades of the light and mechanical angels. Begin. As the veins conveyed the power of resonance, Tucker clearly felt that the light power in the depths of the high dimension had grown a lot. Even with the blooming of the light power, those strange broken forces were driven away a lot. As the resonance continued, the broken forces were gradually driven away. Right now, Tucker manipulated the veins and suddenly penetrated into the high-dimensional light layer. The veins suddenly rolled up and pulled the light feather blade closest to him to the lower dimension. Tucker just pulled a little. The broken force that competed with the angel feather blade also discovered Tucker's veins. Immediately swept over. Bang bang bang. The light veins were directly broken. Tucker also cut at the speed of light. Fortunately, I have an SSS level extraordinary talent. Otherwise, when this mysterious power penetrates, I will only suffer damage and confusion, as if some indescribable power has cursed me. Some relevant content from the wizard subject learning emerged in Tucker's mind. As the veins were grafted onto the metal railings, Tucker had an extra metal slice. Not bad. Looking at the metal slice in front of him, Tucker laughed. It's not that the broken power was cut well, but Tucker felt that the veins pulled the light feather blade. Since the light feather blade can be pulled, it's easy to do. Repeat the above operation. Then Tucker can pull the light feather blade close to the edge of the dimension. When the power of resonance can dispel the broken power and cover Tucker's penetration position, Tucker can complete the absorption of the angel sequence and the light feather blade. After adjusting for a moment, Tucker entered the state and started the second round of operations. Then, the third round. The fourth round. Round after round, the angel light feather blade is getting closer to Tucker. Until the seventh round. Tucker finally pulled a portion of the light feather blade to the edge of the deep light dimension. This time when the resonance occurs again, the resonance and agitation of the light feather blade can stretch out a broken power. The stretched area just covers the position where I touch the mechanical angel feather blade. I can completely absorb the angel sequence and the life metal of the light mechanical angel feather blade. Just one word, perfect. Thinking this way, Tucker held his breath, and light surged in his eyes. Yes, there was indeed light surging. Because at this time, in front of Tucker's eyes, no, it should be said that the entire huge steam tower has 3 layers of steam rings from the inside to the outside. At this moment, a rich white light bloomed, so that Tucker's dim and depressing small balcony was lit up. Not only Tucker noticed this scene. At this time, on this floor, other extraordinary people who wanted to find the light angel sequence. They all looked at the lit steam ring outside the balcony. Some people wanted to grow a 3-meter-long hand to touch the steam ring to see what was going on inside. Some others were in a frenzy. Angel sequence and light, are they responding to my piety? Carlos in the house also noticed this incredible scene. He pushed open the glass door, stared at the bright steam for a moment, and then exclaimed, "What's wrong? Maybe you are too pious, and the angel sequence is responding to your piety," Tucker said slowly while feeling the bright steam. "Really?" Carlos took a deep breath. "If I hadn't prayed to the light just now, I would have almost believed your nonsense." Looking at the bright steam light, a strange frenzy emerged in the depths of Carlos' eyes. The light gently lit up Lamore. The brightness was not strong, but it had excellent penetration. Figures kept appearing in the windows of the surrounding towers, and their eyes were all focused on the 3 huge steam rings of Lamore. Even the dark sun evils living in the occupied tower walls in the distance were getting agitated, roaring at the steam tower. The extraordinary sequence, Shepherd, constantly used spells to appease the dark sun evils, which prevented them from becoming agitated. Shepherd was not a sequence created by humans. It was an extraordinary sequence created by aliens. It is said that the human, Shepherd, sequence is said to have referred to the Shepherd of the alien sequence to a certain extent. Next to the steam tower, in a tower built of white marble, he looked nearly 50 years old, and his hair began to fade from the blue color of his youth, replaced by the gray-blue wizard Earl Lamore. At this time, he was on the open-air balcony, quietly staring at the glowing steam ring. Even though he was no longer as burly and majestic as he was in his youth, but as a person with a high physical strength and mastered many close combat skills, Lamore did not lose his strength because of his old appearance. Soon, hands like warm water came up along the back. The moist breath, mixed with a little bit of charm, blew into Lamore's ears. The exotic woman also stared at the steam ring tower with the wizard Earl's eyes. "Do you want to go and see it?" The woman's words were warm and charming. "It's enough to look here." The wizard Earl shook his head. "It should be that the pollution of the steam tower has affected the mysterious angel power. That's why it has fed back more light. But the angel sequence has never appeared. The wizard Earl Lamore has invested a lot of power in the steam tower. One of the purposes is to find the angel sequence. In this regard, the wizard Earl has spent more energy than anyone else. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. With his investment in Lamore's steam tower, he can sense the power of the angel sequence even if it is leaked. What a pity. No. For so many years, there has been no matter how hard he tried, he didn't get any results. Even now, the steam ring showed an unusual scene. Still, nothing. As the countdown of the Lamore Tower city-state came, the beautiful dream of the angel sequence gradually woke up. No, to be more precise, the wizard Earl had woken up a long time ago. It was just that Lamore's death knell woke him up from his fake sleep. Staring at the light that seemed to have successfully risen, the wizard Earl Lamore turned around, closed the window, and drew the curtains. Now he no longer believed in angels and light. Chapter 77, Steam Core Containing Angel Sequence. Feeling the light appearing in the steam ring. Many extraordinary people in this lair, after watching for a while, returned to their original positions without stopping. Some people even vaguely felt that the light seemed to be a response to themselves. Even Carlos returned to his original position. Anyway, it's free to try it. If it works, it will be a big profit. The magic doors in the hall of the tower are constantly lighting up. Some people come to cram for last-minute help. This is really not what you can imagine. Tucker shook his head after feeling the situation around him for a while. But this also gave Tucker a slight warning. That is, the strong may investigate this unusual scene. He needs to be more cautious. As the mechanical angel's feather blade approaches, light permeates the surroundings. Tucker no longer needs to look for the light ball. In the palm of his hand, Tucker can complete the upstream of the vein. Even if a strong person explores, he can't find any trace. Tucker skillfully controls the vein and reaches a certain depth again. Resonance. Soon, the power of the mechanical angel feather blade radiated, including Tucker's vein entry point. Enter. This time, Tucker's vein resonance officially touched the mechanical angel feather blade. Just as Tucker expected. This time, there was no braking force cutting his veins. Tucker finally had time to take a glimpse of the whole picture. 7 mechanical angel feather blades. Each one was like a small sun, emitting a scorching sacred light. The cut, like the metal piece in Tucker's hand, was amazingly smooth. The whole area was filled with that strange and unpredictable braking force. It would break if touched. Only the angel sequence and light could resist it. Touch perception. Tucker activated touch perception and began to formally analyze this mechanical angel feather blade. Fragment of the mechanical angel and feather blade of light from the mysterious dimension. Contains the mechanical angel sequence. Contains the power of light. Cut by the broken power, incomplete. The information that was perceived intermittently turned into veins in Tucker's mind. Tucker pondered. There is an angel sequence, and it is a relatively special mechanical angel sequence. The amount of sequence characteristics is not much, only a small part. My current extraordinary wizard characteristics have long been full, and this light angel sequence does not match me, and I can't absorb it directly. But Tucker's eyes narrowed slightly. It is a perfect match with my steam core, the carrier of this life metal. Moreover, there is a high degree of resonance between them. If the steam core can absorb it, then the steam core will naturally expand into a steam sequence seed with certain light angel characteristics. The knowledge of the steam sequence quickly appeared in Tucker's mind. Sequence is the sum of intelligent life and extraordinary power. The extraordinary sequence, mastered by humans, is itself the crystallization of human research on extraordinary power, extraordinary characteristics, and extraordinary ecology. Sequence is not static. Instead, it is constantly changing with the development of the times. From the very beginning, the effective combination of the three basic extraordinary characteristics of strength, defense, and speed can create the first version of the extraordinary knight. Until now, using the extraordinary ecology to cultivate the sequence tree, and putting various extraordinary raw materials into the sequence tree, the extraordinary knight, who finally concluded the sequence fruit has great growth potential, contains dozens of extraordinary characteristics, and can resist and endure all aspects. The gap between the two is extremely huge. Nowadays, the steam wave has swept the whole world. The roar of the source energy steam engine is even more resounding in the sky, the earth, and even in the depths of the sea of stars. The product of the new era, steam extraordinary knight, has opened up a huge gap with extraordinary knight. There is no doubt that steam sequence is powerful. But the question is, how can steam sequence, an extraordinary sequence that has opened up steam space, has a strong carrying capacity, and has great plasticity, more effectively and perfectly exert the power of its own steam sequence? At present, no one can give an accurate and detailed answer. But there is one direction that can be determined. That is resonance fusion. If a powerful sequence can produce sequence resonance with a core of the steam sequence, then after the sequence power of the two is naturally fused, it will inevitably be a stronger existence than the original steam sequence. This is the same reason why Tucker's current wizard sequence absorbs more wizard characteristics to enhance its own wizard ecology. After connecting the steam core and the mechanical angel sequence in the veins, a scene that is simpler than Tucker imagined appeared. The power of the mechanical angel sequence began to flow into the steam core along the veins. And the steam core, as a seed, also perfectly absorbed and contained the new sequence characteristics. The whole process was smooth and natural, and it came naturally. From the smooth trajectory of the veins, it can be basically determined that the mechanical angel sequence can enhance the steam sequence. And Tucker felt the sequence power flowing in the veins, and the wonderful changes that Tucker had never understood in the steam core. The enhancement seems to be quite large. However, isn't the fusion of the steam sequence and the wizard sequence the same? Tucker smiled. In itself, the fusion of the steam core and the wizard sequence is also a fusion change of extraordinary characteristics. Now it has joined the mechanical angel sequence that has been transformed into the seed power of the steam core. This is obviously good news. Waiting quietly. The light in the steam of the steam tower attracted more and more people. The steam core has also come to the end of absorbing the mechanical angel sequence. The steam core, which is itself a sequence seed, has absorbed about 1/3 of the sequence in the light feather blade, and then stopped absorbing it. The power of this 1/3 of the mechanical angel sequence has almost doubled the volume of the steam core. At the same time, the steam core also emits a silver-white brilliance with metallic characteristics. Feeling the steam core containing the bright angel sequence in the extraordinary storage bracelet. Touch perception. As the source energy veins converge on it, information emerges. Powerful steam core containing angel sequence. Tucker carefully feels the information brought by touch perception. At the same time, he also deeply cuts into the veins of this new steam core and carefully observes it. Tucker will carefully explore the wizard characteristics that belong to the wizard sequence before absorbing it. This changed steam core, Tucker needs to explore carefully before he can absorb and digest it with confidence. It has indeed become stronger than before. The inherent characteristics of the machine have been absorbed by the metal material of the steam core. The angel sequence has merged with the steam sequence and has become part of the steam sequence seed foundation. Tucker's eyes narrowed slightly. This wonderful change of sequence fusion is really interesting. Overall, there is no problem for me to continue to absorb and digest this enhanced steam angel sequence core. After carefully exploring it inside and out, Tucker finally put his mind at ease. Then, Tucker looked outside. During the absorption process, Tucker also tried to drag the light feather blade over. However, no matter how Tucker tried, he failed. Veins are veins after all, and cannot form channels. Although Tucker drew away 1/3 of the power of the light feather blade. But because Tucker moved it closer to the real dimension, the light did not weaken, but instead permeated the steam ring of the Lamore Tower in a stable state. Perhaps this mysterious light will not bring substantial changes to Lamore. But, as long as it can allow Lamore to hold on for a while, it will be enough. Chapter 78. Steam Tower 12th floor. Even if the wall lamps and fireplaces in the house have no light source, the light of the steam ring outside can still make the room bright enough. At this time, Tucker, who was eating snacks, was sitting opposite the steam night Xyluar. There are no such delicious gadgets in the Undead Wizard Tower. With the improvement of the strength of the extraordinary, after the flesh body is truly transformed into a supernormal life form, it can basically be separated from the food, water and other resources required by the flesh life form. At the same time, the extraordinary who has the supernormal state will also have a longer life and a longer peak period. However, the supernormal state is at least something that can only be touched by the middle-level extraordinary. Now Tucker is only a first-level extraordinary. It is still a long way from that state. For food and water, Tucker not only needs it but also enjoys this process. Carlos was on the side. He looked at the steam ring outside with an unnatural expression, as if the great master of light did not know the goods. Although the Lord of Light and the gods believed in by the extraordinary country to which the Principality of Syrium belonged have nothing to do with each other. 3 days. Tucker and Carlos have been there for 3 days. If Tucker hadn't dragged Carlos away, Carlos would probably have stayed there. When Carlos was pulled away by Tucker, he was still shouting, "Damn Tucker, you destroyed the inheritance of my dark angel." First of all, that's not called a dark angel, it's called a fallen angel, and you came to the wrong place to inherit the fallen angel. In the end, Tucker forcibly turned Carlos into a sheep and took him away. There is no doubt that Carlos is a little abnormal. Tucker had already discovered some clues before. In itself, the steam tower has been polluted to a certain extent. In addition to the severity of the current situation, the desire and pursuit of power has been engraved in the subconscious of many people. The erosion of desire on the heart is far more direct than the dark sun. The appearance of light seems to have stimulated the dark sun and became a catalyst. Many people behaved much crazier than Carlos. In the past 3 days, Tucker knew that 4 fanatics jumped from the balcony into the steam ring to embrace the light. Almost without exception, they all whispered, "I feel the light. The light is calling me. Great Lord, I am your devout believer." Hundreds of meters high. 2 of the 4 people fell to death on the spot. The other 2 survived. One of them jumped from the priest tower next to him the next day, and this time he got what he wanted. As for the knight, after being rescued, he firmly believed that he was a knight of light and wanted to purify the darkness outside. 7 or 8 priests did not hold him down. After rushing into the darkness, he was never seen again. Of course, the appearance of the steam ring light is not without benefits. At least, Tucker can feel that some of the surrounding dark sun pollution sources are slowly being purified. At the same time, members of the Dark Sun Church dare not approach the tower area at will. Light itself is a deterrent. He slowly withdrew his gaze from Carlos, who had been staring at the steam ring outside the window. The usually calm Xyluar was now full of worry. Carlos is not in any serious problem. The priest will clean up the pollution and he will recover after a period of psychological counseling. Tucker comforted him. "I know." Xyluar took a deep breath and gradually returned to the state of a cold steam night. "But the current situation is that if we don't solve the pollution and erosion of the dark sun as soon as possible, or leave Lamore, it will only get better for a while. Also, you must always pay attention to his condition. If you don't pay attention, he will quickly slide into deeper pollution. Carlos is different from you." Xyluar looked at Tucker and said seriously, The Dark Sun can't leave any traces on you, but it can easily wipe out Carlos. Then speed up the process of the Demon King's tomb. Tucker, rubbing his palm, gave a solution. Aren't those big guys up there also waiting for the progress of the Demon King's tomb? After all, this may be the last thing they can get from Lamore. How long will it take to open it? A week. Zillanor's tone was a little uncertain. I'm talking about level 18. You want to go in alone first? Zillanor's cool and curved eyes slightly raised. Is it not possible? I believe in your strength, but the problem is, those big guys won't allow us to do this. Zillanor shook his head. Saint Land, Ebony Fortress, Black River Valley, Red Blood Lake Tower City State, etc. Their masters are all helping Lamore resist the erosion of Dark Sun. We must get rid of them and work alone. They dared to abandon Lamore on the spot and run away with the money. I'm afraid that when you come out, it won't be Lamore's people waiting for you outside. Instead, the Archbishop of the Dark Sun Church, 3 bishops and many priests will welcome you. For a genius like you, they are very happy to transform you into a saint of the Dark Sun Church, or even become a container for the Son of Dark Sun. I heard that they are looking for such a container during this period. Your joke is very good. Tucker agreed helplessly, and then shook his head. It's impossible to get ahead of time. Zillanor's eyes, inadvertently, were on Carlos again. After a moment, Zillanor seemed to suddenly think of something. By the way, you have been training in the Undead Tower during this period. There is something more important that I haven't informed you of yet. That is, the supernatural ability conversion pool of the Lamore Steam Tower has been opened, and it is specially open to the entrance of the Demon King's tomb this time. Tucker was slightly happy when he heard this. Is it free? Tucker never forgot to get the resources of Lamore for free. How is that possible? Zillanor shook his head. Half price. Half price. Tucker laughed. Half price is already very good, and the conversion pool is usually open less often. Tucker currently has many supernatural witchcrafts in his hands. Bullet Tentacles, Bloodthorn Vine, Fire Oil, Wind Sprint, Source Scale Shield. They are all basic witchcrafts that Tucker has learned. It's just that Tucker used the system to upgrade them all and developed them in depth. In addition to the source energy advantage of Original Dark Sea, and the linkage of the second-level Shaping Light Spear, these witchcrafts can be more powerful. In essence, these witchcrafts are still relatively weak. Now that Tucker has his own unique wizard methods and abilities, it's time to change these basic wizard spells. At present, Tucker has upgraded these witchcraft to a higher level, and has conducted in-depth research, addition, on all aspects. If you change a similar witchcraft, you must start from the beginning. Basically, the previous investment of time, energy, source energy accumulation and other costs will be wasted overnight. If you change your methods, you have to practice from the beginning. This situation is indeed a big disadvantage when the extraordinary sequence is not perfect. As a result, many extraordinary people dare not go deep into and study those general witchcraft. But in the Steam Extraordinary era where the extraordinary sequence is already very perfect, Extraordinary Ability Conversion Pool will perfectly solve this problem. In Extraordinary Ability Conversion Pool, extraordinary people can build a conversion bridge. Let the spell's abilities of the same type of spells complete the level absorption in their own ecology, or even swallow the characteristics of the same type of spells. For example, Tucker had planned a powerful 1-star witchcraft arcane bullet for a long time. Then the level and energy experience of the bullet tentacles can be converted into the arcane bullets. Tucker remembered that the similarity between the two reached 92%. Then 92% of the spell characteristics and energy experience of the bullet tentacles will be absorbed into the arcane bullets. Bullet Tentacles, Bloodthorn Vine, Fire Oil, Wind Run, Shield of Scales. These witchcrafts can no longer keep up with Tucker's pace. Originally, Tucker planned to change these witchcrafts. Now the opportunity has come. Tucker will naturally not miss it. Chapter 79, Extraordinary Ecology and Witchcraft Seeds. The Lamore Steam Tower. The most desirable place is the Source Energy Baptism Pool. In the Source Energy Baptism Pool, you can quickly upgrade your level. For many extraordinary people who are in their 20s and have to spend a lot of source energy to develop the ecological framework, a baptism can save them several years of hard work. As for another place that people yearn for, it is the Supernatural Ability Transformation Pool. It's not because of the Supernatural Ability Transformation Pool itself. It's because the supernatural ability transformation pool is often next to the supernatural sequence inheritance place and the supernatural spell preparation place. Especially the supernatural spell reserve place. This place is a strategic core level existence for any tower community. Entering the supernatural ability transformation pool has a half-price discount. But there is no such discount for buying supernatural spells here. Passing through the magic door, I came to the 36th floor of the tower. As soon as I came in, Tucker found that this floor, like other floors of the tower, was a transformed floor. Those door frames that look active. At first glance, it is a magical door. Maybe behind it is Lord Aubrey's magic hut. Tucker handed over the certificate that Zilur gave him to participate in the Demon King's tomb. The female receptionist in light blue clothes immediately bowed and greeted him. "Hello, brave warrior participating in the Demon King's tomb. I am very happy to serve you." The voice was a bit mechanical, and it didn't seem like a real person. Tucker took a closer look and raised his eyebrows. Alchemical doll? Moreover, there is a companion summoned spirit inside. The intelligence of the companion summoned spirit and the flexibility of the alchemical doll are a perfect match. Have those secret puppeteers already started to use these summoned spiritual creatures to replace their work? If this method was used in the previous life, it would definitely be a way to fleece capitalism. I want to learn some witchcraft. Tucker stated his purpose. Okay, you can enter the witchcraft collection area, which is at the back. The books in the entire spell temple are presented in the form of text introductions. You can remember the witchcraft you need to learn and buy it at the exit. At the same time, brave warriors like you can enjoy a 50% discount on the extraordinary ability conversion pool now. Yes. Tucker nodded. After collecting his voucher, Tucker walked inside. The witchcraft that Tucker had learned before was cheap and inexpensive witchcraft. Although it can barely be listed as a 1-star level, it is still a big gap compared to the witchcraft containing a complete witchcraft seed. But if the power standard of a 1-star spell is around 10 points, it has good pioneering ability, strong plasticity, and relatively strong potential. Then the basic power of those witchcrafts is basically only about 5 or 6 points, and the pioneering and plasticity are very average, without much potential for in-depth development. The basic power of 2-star witchcraft is between 20 and 30. Moreover, the special properties and power contained in 2-star witchcraft will also make countless damage characteristics and functional characteristics more powerful. As for 3-star witchcraft, it belongs to the category of rune witchcraft. If the ecology is not strong enough, the ecology may be dismembered if the rune witchcraft is forced to be activated. At the same time, rune witchcraft requires a corresponding rune ring staff, or a special rune ecological zone is built in its own ecology to master and release rune spells. The more powerful the means, the more stringent the conditions for casting. In addition, rune witchcraft needs a rune land with corresponding rune characteristics to be cultivated. The Lamore Tower city-state obviously does not have the ability to cultivate rune witchcraft. The forces that can find and develop and build rune land, all of them are ancient and mysterious. In many large or small supernatural worlds, there are their legendary stories. Normally, a wizard needs a certain amount of 1-star witchcraft to deal with various complex situations. 2-star witchcraft can already be regarded as a certain means of bottoming out. Form a relatively perfect spell frame or coordination. Tucker can go a step further on this basis. The system's source energy experience can accurately add points to the detailed branches of witchcraft. For example, greatly speed up the casting speed of this witchcraft. Strengthen the power of the flame explosion of a certain fire spell. In other words, the penetration characteristics of this penetrating witchcraft are not sharp enough, so strengthen its penetration and enhance the concealment characteristics of the spell. It is too difficult for other extraordinary people to carry out detailed special enhancements. It really requires a lot of time and energy to study, and even absorb the corresponding extraordinary characteristics for reinforcement. But Tucker only needs to use the SSS level accuracy to find this direction, and leave the rest to the system. Don't worry about the accuracy problem. Don't worry about the problem of slow casting efficiency. At the same time, don't worry too much about the problem of source energy consumption. The breadth of the spells selected by Tucker is greatly enhanced. Not long after, Tucker stopped in front of 3 witchcrafts of arcane shooting. One has a basic power of 9, but it is fast to get started and has high accuracy. One has a basic power of 12, which is difficult to master. It has certain requirements for the strength of the physical body, and when it is released, the accuracy is more metaphysical. The last one has a basic power of 15. Tucker feels that it is more accurate to classify this last one as arcane rather than bullet shooting. This witchcraft, with energy accumulation, can reach the level of 2-star witchcraft, or even higher. The amazing source energy gathering, the long-term source energy gathering and compression, and the amazing burst feedback. If the enemy doesn't die after one shot, you will die. It is a means that does not leave a way out for the enemy, nor does it leave a way out for yourself, highlighting a unique character. But it can be seen from these seemingly incredible witchcraft. Lamore's witchcraft reserves are still quite good. Strong advantages, with shortcomings but not obvious shortcomings, and strong plasticity. This is the general direction Tucker chose. On the other hand, it is the precise adaptability with SSS level. For example, when Tucker chose the Fireball witchcraft, he chose the Nightmare Oil Bomb with extremely strong plasticity of Fireball, a fireball method that also has two forms of condensed state and excited state. At the same time, this witchcraft is also a proper enhanced version of the oil spell. One spell after another was selected. Tucker selected very carefully and looked at it very seriously. Even when he encountered something he didn't understand, Tucker went to the door. He asked the alchemy doll lady. The manipulator behind him obviously didn't expect that this person would have such a coquettish operation. However, seeing that the other party was only level 18, the operator understood a little. That person was not very enthusiastic to answer Tucker. It must be said that just coming to the spell temple of the High Tower has given Tucker a new understanding of the cognition of the witchcraft system. The things are good, but they are really expensive. Looking at the official price of these steam towers, then think of the witchcraft he bought in the underground street of Lamore. The prices of the two are very different. This made Tucker a little confused. Although there is a certain gap between the witchcraft below and the witchcraft officially produced by the Tower of Lamore, the price shouldn't be so high. With such doubts, Tucker selected the witchcraft he needed and came to the settlement point at the exit. Arcane Shooting, Abyss, Bloodthirsty Magic Vine, Nightmare Fire Oil Bomb, Micro, Hurricane, Dragon Source Scale Shield. Tucker handed over the small note of the 5 witchcrafts he wanted to buy. Soon, the settlement wizard in a black robe said in a slightly hoarse and indifferent voice, "A total of 520 magic gold." Tucker asked while taking out the money, "Are all the witchcraft here so expensive?" The black-robed wizard looked at Tucker and then slowly said, "The witchcraft stored here are all reserved by us at Lamore when the witchcraft crystal seeds were screened for the first time. Whether it is power, sequence activity, or upper limit strength, they are all top-level witchcraft of the same type that you can see on the market. And those defective and incomplete products are not worth much, and they were sold very cheaply by people under Lamore. As long as you carefully accept the inheritance of witchcraft sequence seeds in this regard, you will not have such doubts." What the other party said was to help Tucker solve many doubts in his heart. Ecology breeds extraordinary sequence seeds. Similarly, ecology will also breed various witchcraft seeds. It is good to leave witchcraft inheritance on the scroll through one's own soul imprint. But this completely relies on the power of people and will damage one's own witchcraft characteristics. In the scope of supernatural studies, it does not quite conform to the rules and characteristics of sequence. But it is obviously more convenient and more in line with the rules of the extraordinary world to cultivate witchcraft seeds through the supernatural ecology with life. In the ecology, witchcraft seeds are also strong and weak. Tucker learned cheap stuff before, but now he has the real 1-star top witchcraft in his hand. Thank you for your answer. After paying, the black-robed wizard patted the monster treasure chest beside him and put the note with the witchcraft selected by Tucker into it. After the monster treasure chest gurgled and shook for a while, it opened its mouth and spit out. An iron box fell out. There was even a lot of mucus on it. It seemed that Tucker's expression was a little unnatural, and the black-robed wizard explained. This golem saliva is a natural detoxifying potion. Many potions are mixed with similar ingredients. This saliva also has the ability to lubricate and alleviate the confrontation of supernatural properties. Otherwise, so many supernatural properties piled together will be a huge unstable alchemical bomb. Yet, Tucker waved his hand, and the shadow tentacles rolled the iron box into the shadow behind him and disappeared. Then he walked towards the supernatural power conversion pool. Wait until Tucker left. An extraordinary swordsman with short hair, thin figure, and wearing a brown dress came out from the corner. When the black-robed wizard saw the person coming, he immediately changed to a respectful attitude and bowed. Baron Blank. Chapter 80. This wave of cooperation is a win-win situation. He didn't care about the black-robed wizard's salute. The extraordinary swordsman Baron Blank just kept his eyes on the direction where Tucker left until Tucker disappeared at the end of the corridor. Baron Blank, who came to his senses, looked at the black-robed wizard. "Do you know Tucker?" "Tucker? Who is Tucker?" "The one you just talked to." Reporting to the Baron, "I don't know him. We just talked casually." The black-robed wizard looked at the direction where Tucker left, a little curious. "I see." The extraordinary swordsman Blank nodded. He casually handed over the several sword techniques he bought this time. After getting the sword technique crystal seeds, Blank originally wanted to return to his residence. After all, he learned the sword technique inheritance of Lamor just to supplement his extraordinary sword technique. To be more precise, it was for the few extraordinary characteristics he needed in those sword technique sequence seeds. He didn't need to go to the transformation pool. But he stayed there for a while. Blank turned around and walked towards the supernatural power conversion pool where Tucker had just gone. The team leader and instructor said that if possible, go and get in touch with a wizard named Tucker. That guy is not ordinary. Since we have met, let's get to know each other. Maybe we can form a team for the Underground Demon King trip. The price is 2 magic golds per hour. This is more powerful than the half-price discount. I remember Carlos said before that it is 5 magic golds per hour. But those witchcrafts are really expensive. Without some wealth, it is really difficult to move forward in this tower. Tucker, who entered the conversion pool, thought secretly. Although Tucker has more resources in his hands. But the current situation in Lamor is quite chaotic. Many resources are not easy to convert into magic gold. After purchasing the witchcraft, Tucker has not much magic gold left. Supernatural power conversion pool, what comes into view is a relatively wide corridor. There are a lot of magical door frames on both sides, and there are energy barriers inside the door frames. After entering, the internal activation and solidification will allow you to stay inside safely. The magical door frame is full of rich transformation rune characteristics. It is easy to complete the construction of the transformation sequence bridge. As for how to master the transformation sequence bridge, Tucker learned it when he was studying in the Undead Tower before. These are all basic wizard knowledge. In the tower, not only is there a complete sequence and inheritance of extraordinary knowledge, but there is also a safer state of practice. Tucker couldn't help but sigh slightly in his heart. Being a wild extraordinary person outside, you have no food to eat. You will be harvested by the evil Gout organization every now and then. You even have to face the deception of other wild extraordinary people. In the tower, there are not so many bad things. There are a lot of witchcraft spells to be passed on. There is a systematic wizard knowledge learning. There are also complete supporting facilities for improvement in all aspects. If possible, it would be great to grow steadily here for more than 10 years. Not to mention other things, just a relatively stable development in the past 1 or 2 months has made me grow at an amazing speed. Tucker was looking for this magical door frame that suits him. Footsteps sounded behind him. But the footsteps stopped about 10 meters behind Tucker. Tucker turned slowly and said lightly, "You have been following me for so long, why don't you follow me now?" What came into view was an extraordinary swordsman wearing a tan high-collared wide bodysuit, a round-top wide-brimmed hat, and an extraordinary sword blade at his waist. This outfit shows that he is a foreigner at a glance, and he is a respectable person from the upper class. He is not the wandering swordsman who pawned his sword in order to have a full meal when he was down and out like Lamor. The tan suit doesn't match Lamor very well. But it is an extraordinary protective gear with amazing defensive power. You really know. Blang laughed. The 3 shadow flame demon wolves behind you are staring at me covetously. I dare not get too close. Tucker raised his eyebrows slightly. Tucker's shadow demon wolf is naturally stealthy. But the extraordinary swordsman in front of him, who is only level 19, actually saw through it. Something. Tucker nodded slightly. What's the matter? Cooperation. Blang stated his purpose straightforwardly. Demon King's tomb. Yes. But St. Lands and Lamor's demands seem to be inconsistent. Tucker thought for a while and said. But our demands are consistent. We all want to get the powerful leader level extraordinary crystal to complete the 2nd level transformation. The important thing is that the resources needed by the swordsman and the witchcraft sequence do not overlap. We only need to complete the tasks we need to complete when we enter, so when we come out, we don't need to be checked and harvested. I think we should be able to get a lot of resources if we join forces. Tucker looked at the extraordinary swordsman of level 19 in front of him and spoke slowly. You should be rich, right? Tucker's words made the swordsman blank pause. Rich is only relative. Blank said in a soothing tone. Although my family supports me, this support is very limited. After all, there are many extraordinary people in my family with blood. If you go to St. Rand, you will know. There are more advanced resources there, all kinds of resources that dazzle us. It is called the extraordinary city-state, which is completely incomparable to the high tower territory like Lawmore. But the magic gold consumed to live, grow, and practice there is also more amazing. For those of us who are extraordinary students practicing in St. Rand, perseverance and talent alone are not enough. Extraordinary equipment, extraordinary resources, and even very realistic magic gold are all necessary. And no one can refuse. Even in St. Rand, leader-level materials are not very common. To participate in the extraordinary gathering, you need to prepare a lot of magic gold. In addition, you should have heard about the War of the Dark Sun Church. At this point, Blank paused and looked at Tucker. Tucker added directly and slowly. The Dark Sun Church wants to cooperate with the Sun Rock Empire to defeat the Principality of Celion. The development of the southern continent, as well as the eastern continent across the sea. Many of the Celion's development areas have a tendency to move, and even some places have already started fighting. After confirming that Tucker knew these things, Blank smiled slightly. Tucker knew these news, at least. Tucker was really being cultivated as a core by the Lawmore Tower. Yes, the world has begun to be turbulent. From the increase in the number of pirate groups and air pirate groups during this period, it can be seen. Whether it is here or in St. Land in the future, we need to become stronger as soon as possible. You should know the importance of the resources in the Demon King's tomb. There are a lot of elite materials, as well as expensive and rare leader-level materials. It's hard for you or me to get it alone. But if we work together, there is a great probability of getting it, or even more than one or two. Cooperation is a win-win situation. Blank looked at Tucker very seriously while explaining. After thinking for a moment, Tucker nodded. In that case, it's settled. If the other party is not a member of the Dark Sun Church, this wave of cooperation is indeed a win-win start. After all, leader-level creatures are really hard to kill. The unique life tank of leader creatures highlights that they can resist and endure. Previously in the Undead Rift, Tucker used the power of the Spear of Shaping Light to restrain the Bone Dragon leader, and everyone worked together to kill it. It would be better if someone cooperated. If the other party is a member of the Dark Sun Church, Tucker has no reason not to cooperate. After all, who can refuse the gift from nature? However, Tucker could vaguely feel that this guy was not a believer of the Dark Sun. The initial cooperation was reached, and after a few words of casual chatting, Blank entered the magical door frame. Tucker looked around, and then the shadow rolled up and entered the magical door frame on the side. This time out, Tucker didn't know whether the Lawmore Tower had leaked his true strength, or because the Dark Sun Church had listed him as a key focus. Tucker felt that many eyes were staring at him. The more this happened, the more Tucker needed to be careful. Fortunately, this time, he got some benefits from the Lawmore Tower. Although the protection of the steam tower is not so comprehensive, it is better than nothing. Opening the iron box, the shadow swept quickly, wiping away the sticky liquid. 5 thumb-sized witchcraft seeds of different colors and sufficient spell strength fell into Tucker's hands. After a touch of perception, his eyes reopened and he couldn't help but feel happy. Sure enough, it is very different from the witchcraft I inherited with scrolls before. These witchcrafts are very malleable and have a lot of room for development. Unlike the previous witchcrafts, they can only be strengthened in a few directions. In this way, using the system for refined strengthening can completely make these witchcrafts have a considerable qualitative change in casting time, source energy consumption, concealment, witchcraft power, etc. This time, entering the underground Demon King's tomb, the safety factor has increased sharply. This magic gold is worth spending. After observing it, Tucker nodded slightly. Take out the first witchcraft seed, Arcane Shot. After a touch of perception, Tucker absorbed the inheritance. Then he built the transformation bridge. Use the witchcraft seed of arcane shot to absorb the spell sequence and level framework touched by the bullet. With incredible and precise control, the construction of the transformation bridge is simple and easy for Tucker. Arcane shot, abyss, bloodthirsty demon vine, nightmare fire oil bomb, micro, hurricane, dragon origin scale armor shield. Tucker gradually transformed one witchcraft after another. Chapter 81 All-Round Strengthening. After half a day, Tucker completed the transformation of 5 supernatural magics in the transformation pool. The transformation ratios of several magics were different. However, when Tucker selected, he tried to choose magics with similar characteristics. The lowest one had a transformation efficiency of 88%. The highest one even reached 97%. After the transformation was successful, Tucker slightly added points to the 5 magics and upgraded them all to level 19. Then it was a detailed experience enhancement. Before, when Tucker was baptized in the Source Energy Baptism Pool of the Steam Tower, the Source Energy experience had not been used up. Now, after nearly a month of accumulation, the Source Energy experience has been increasing. Tucker also knew that no matter how much Source Energy experience he hoarded now, it would not be too much. The further you go, the more experience you need to upgrade. When you become a mid-level supernatural, the experience you need is even more massive. What's more, there is the bottomless pit of Origin Dark Sea. After adding points to enhance, Tucker opened the attribute page. Supernatural Sequence, Wizard, level 18. Dark Sea of Origin, level 18. Supernatural Talent, Precision, SSS level 1020%. Supernatural Witchcraft Ability, Sheep Transformation, Ability, level 19. Touch Perception, Ability, level 19. Spear of Light Shaping, 2-star, level 19. Arcane Shot, level 19. Abyss Bloodthirsty Magic Vine, level 19. Dragon Origin Scale Shield, level 19. Nightmare Oil Bomb, level 19. Micro Hurricane, level 19. Among them, Abyss Bloodthirsty Magic Vine and Micro Hurricane are both relatively special witchcrafts. The price is much higher than the other 3 witchcrafts. Abyss Bloodthirsty Magic Vine. The witchcraft seeds from the Abyss supernatural ecology give it the killing characteristics unique to the Abyss. Tucker's Bloodthorn Vine previously maintained its strength and duration by sucking blood. Abyss Bloodthirsty Magic Vine has a stronger bloodthirsty ability. In addition to maintaining its own strength and duration through bloodthirsty, Abyss Bloodthirsty Demon Vine can also maintain its strength and duration through killing, which can be regarded as a little endurance expert. Abyss Bloodthirsty Demon Vine has a wider range of applications. But the source energy consumed and the time for chanting spells are much longer than the previous Bloodthorn Vine. Micro Hurricane is a dual-purpose witchcraft. It not only has the effect of accelerating its own wind whirl, but also has the effect of using hurricanes to attack enemies. It can even use the environment to form a long-term hurricane. It is a very practical dual-purpose witchcraft. Arcane shooting can be used to perform fast ordinary arcane shooting like bullet tentacles. It can also store energy and conduct frontal arcane heavy artillery light breakthroughs. But even ordinary arcane shooting is much more powerful than the stored energy attack of bullet tentacles. Dragon Source Scale Shield is a very standard defensive witchcraft. It is worth mentioning that after mastering the Dragon Source Scale Shield, it can actively condense and form pieces of condensed scales on the body surface, which is equivalent to wearing a dragon scale. Of course, what degree of defensive effect can this so-called dragon scale have? Tucker is still skeptical. The Nightmare Oil Bomb can basically be regarded as an all-round enhanced version of the oil bomb. He carefully felt the 5 new witchcrafts he had mastered. All the commonly used witchcrafts have been replaced, and the enhancement has been completed in all aspects. There is no doubt about this. It is the specific details that need to be enhanced in daily life and in battle in detail to be able to do it with ease. Tucker took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. Then, the next step is daily adaptation and the absorption of steam cores. In Tucker's mind, the explanation of the many steam sequences by the Steam Knightzilla were gradually emerged. With the initial absorption of the steam core, the seeds of the steam sequence will take root in the wizard tree, and will be the first to absorb and adapt to the wizard's extraordinary characteristics. During this period of time, the steam extraordinary talent will awaken at a certain inadvertent node. In other words, the steam extraordinary talent will arrive before the steam sequence. Steam extraordinary talent. Tucker's eyes narrowed slightly. In the past few days, Tucker has been steadily absorbing the steam core containing angelic characteristics. Thanks to the original dark sea that Tucker has been steadily developing daily, and the iron coupling source wall that consumes the great barrier world, the wizard ecology has been continuously strengthened. The speed at which the steam core takes root and sprouts in Tucker's body is exceptionally fast. Tucker has clearly felt that the power of the steam sequence has gradually penetrated into his own wizard sequence. There is often the unique smell of the excited state of source energy steam lingering at the tip of his nose. Obviously, the steam talent has begun to be nurtured. There are many types of steam talents: steam spirit, steam power, phase transmission, dual track parallel, and many other types. Because Tucker has the talent fragments harvested from the steady development system, he has long wanted to obtain a second extraordinary talent. The second extraordinary talent is the direction of steam wizards. Explore the essence of the world. Summarize the truth of the world. The exclusive direction of spellcasters. A general range of the wizard steam talent. Regarding the steam sequence and other aspects, I need to have in-depth exchanges with Xylua in many aspects during this period. After all, she is a genuine steam knight. In addition, while the Demon King's sealed door is still a few days away, I need to polish and adapt to my witchcraft. Well, those Dark Sun evils and the shepherds of the Dark Sun Church who control those Dark Sun evils are good whetstones. Just as Tucker was about to get up and go outside to find those Dark Sun evils wandering in the dark to try out his newly transformed witchcraft. Light. I'm coming. The voice was turbulent and fast. Then, a residual shadow passed by the window. Then there was a dull crash. Along with the cold night wind, there was a faint rustling of discussions. Another suicide. That's not called suicide, that's called throwing oneself into the arms of light. Don't say that, this fucking Dark Sun Church. Tucker untied the door frame barrier, came to the window, and looked down. Several priest-type superhumans have gathered to treat the superhuman who jumped from the building. Really, you came just in time. Blank's voice rang out from the side. He was looking at the steam ring lit up by the light above. If there is no light, more and more people in Lamore will be polluted silently and eventually die in the darkness. But now, although the light has catalyzed some of the seriously polluted guys, the pollution on most people has been slowly dispelled. In fact, those guys who were catalyzed were just detonated in advance. Generally speaking, they can still be saved. Of course, the premise is that there is still time. Blank looked at Tucker. To be honest, many people are more or less polluted, but you. There is no trace of pollution on your body. Tucker did not answer Blank's doubts, but turned and walked towards the magic door outside. Tucker's voice came from the air. The Demon King's tomb will be opened in a few days. If you really want to cooperate with me, then take advantage of this time to hone your basic and advanced swordsmanship. Rune-level swordsmanship is powerful, but it is obviously not time for you to use it well. As Tucker's voice fell, shock surged in the depths of Blank's eyes. You know, the rune swordsmanship is one of his biggest secrets. The two of them sat in silence for half a day, and he saw a lot of things from the wizard. And the wizard saw more things on him. It was not until Tucker disappeared in the depths of the corridor that Blank withdrew his gaze. This wizard is really extraordinary. In addition, the Demon King's tomb is coming. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82, Remarks on the Release. Today at 12 noon, it will be available. 5 updates are guaranteed after it is available. Then there will be daily updates after it is available. After it is available, there will be 3 updates every day. Around 8:30 in the morning, 1 chapter. Around 8:30 in the evening, 2 chapters. If the author is in better condition, there will be 4 updates. Readers who like this book, please subscribe. Every subscription will turn into the characteristics of emotionless coding machine, anchored on the author's soul along the network cable, so that the author squats in front of the computer 24 hours a day and becomes a fanatical code believer. Exclamation mark. Chapter 83, Turmoil in the Demon King's Tomb. At the edge of the tower area, Tucker, in the shadow state, floated through the darkness quickly and nimbly. 3 shadow flame demon wolves follow Tucker like a shadow. With a blessing of hurricane magic, Tucker's speed and flexibility are probably beyond the reach of ordinary vampires of the same level. At least a powerful vampire-like sequence title should be able to keep up. Behind Tucker, there were roars of the Dark Sun Evil Fallen and curses of the herders. Shameless sneak attacker. That damn human, he ran too fast. We obviously surrounded the dirty and despicable guy, but he still ran away. Even though the curses were extremely fierce. But they had to stop chasing. They were already very close to the tower area. After pulling away for a distance, they could no longer hear the Dark Sun Church's shepherds and Dark Sun Evil Fallen. Tucker then slowed down and let the Shadow Flame Demon Wolves enter his shadow. In the past few days, Tucker kept going into the darkness outside the tower area. He conducted various experiments and contacts with several witchcrafts. The experimental targets were naturally those Dark Sun Evils. This time, Tucker found a good opportunity and killed 2 herders. As for the Dark Sun Evils, at least 40 or 50 of them died. Tucker's operation naturally angered the herders of the Dark Sun Church. A mid-level herder above level 40, plus 7 or 8 shepherds over level 30, chased him together. Tucker fought and retreated to the edge of the tower area. The curses behind him gradually faded away. As Tucker moved forward, he began to quickly summarize his gains this time. The Shadow Flame Wolf is indeed something. Not only does it have amazing intelligence, it can also cooperate with each other. Their combat ability and combat experience are also very strong. After fighting with those Dark Sun Evils a few times, they have figured out that there is a certain difference between these virtual and real creatures and flesh and blood creatures, and then they transform virtual and real to complete the hunt. My witchcraft has no problem in the general direction. If I strengthen and polish the details, it will be perfect if I can release it more smoothly and naturally. Tucker quickly summarized the combat experience and the direction that needs to be adjusted in his mind. Tucker. As soon as he arrived near the steam tower, Tucker heard a familiar and slightly hurried voice. It was Carlos. At this time, Carlos was holding a small lantern that was shining with the characteristics of holy light. The scorching holy light could be used as a stove. After the priest's diagnosis, Carlos needed the power of holy light to be cleansed continuously. Zilor went directly to the tower's collection room, exchanged materials containing a small amount of light runes, and made a lantern for Carlos, asking him to carry it every day. The things are expensive, but the effect is also outstanding. Carlos's condition is obviously much better. The two walked side by side into the tower, and Tucker lowered his voice and asked, "What's the matter?" "There's a problem in the underground Demon King's lair. It seems that the situation is quite serious. It seems that several strong people have gone there. My sister asked me to wait for you here, go quickly." From Carlos's rapid speech, Tucker obviously realized that what happened this time was not simple. Underground Demon King's lair. Tucker raised his eyebrows slightly, took a deep breath, and quickened his pace. Calculating the time, Tucker also roughly knew that the opening of the Demon King's tomb would only take 1 or 2 days. On the 11th floor of the steam tower, after submitting the Demon King's tomb participation certificate and undergoing a comprehensive interrogation by the law enforcer sequence, Tucker stood in front of the magic door leading to the underground passage. Tucker had come to see it once before, but the guards at that time were obviously not as strong as they are now. As soon as he touched the magic door, Tucker felt a tidal force pushing him. Tucker pushed hard and entered the magic door. The wide underground passage was flanked by magic wall lamps extending forward along the cave walls. At this time, the magic wall lamp seemed to have taken a tonic, and the flames were so bright that they broke through the glass top of the magic wall lamps, illuminating the entire underground passage as if it were daytime. Hoo-la-la. The power of the ash tide continued to wash over Tucker's world, and the sound of the waves sounded beside Tucker's ears. Tucker used his powerful and precise vision to see the mysterious layers of the ash tide stacked on the real dimension. Fortunately, Tucker's original Dark Sea was not affected by the external tidal force. The force pulling on his own source pool was very weak. Tucker could easily break free without using the shadow state. Under the gaze of the extraordinary guards on both sides, Tucker walked forward. There were wizards in the passage, cursing the Dark Sun Church while constantly casting witchcraft to repair the magic wall lamps, whose flames were extremely violent due to the tide of ash. This ecology is getting weirder and weirder. Tucker looked around as he moved forward. Approaching the door to the Demon King's tomb, several powerful auras gathered inside the blocking barrier. Even Zalor, who had been in charge of this place, could only stand aside at this time. He scanned the situation inside, and a large number of veins and residual traces came into view. Invasion. Sneak attack. Fighting. Similar traces and veins were quickly captured by Tucker. Is there a traitor? Or? Tucker continued to magnify his precise vision and explore the traces. Some kind of means of travel has greatly disturbed the layer dimension. It is likely that a large number of enemies have invaded. Well, there are a lot of bloodstains, but no corpses. They should have been collected. Piling corpses here will only cause unnecessary panic. But this is clearly a closed space. Where do the enemies come from? After inspecting, Tucker's eyes were on the walls with chaotic dimensional veins, or more accurately, the earth layer. Although this place is blocked by the real earth, it is not a problem to use the earth rune ring staff to travel through the earth. But it is impossible for a large number of invaders to have an earth rune ring staff in their hands. Then it should be borrowing the power of the tide. His eyes swept around, and the sound of the deep tide surging clearly sounded beside Tucker's ears. Tucker waved his hand casually, and he could feel the ash tide passing through his fingertips. Borrowing the power of the tide to travel through the real earth. This is interesting. Tucker set his eyes on the Demon King's sealed door in the energy barrier. The enemies of the Dark Sun Church passed through the soil layer of the earth and attacked the guards here. The veins of the Dark Sun did leave traces on the Demon King's sealed door, and the power of the tide has obviously penetrated into the Demon King's tomb. There is no doubt that the Dark Sun Church is also plotting the Demon King's tomb. I just don't know how they will do it. No matter how they do it. Tucker's eyes narrowed slightly. As long as I touch the second layer of the Demon King's tomb, it will be enough. As for other interference situations, I don't mind using my current witchcraft to ask them to eat a few more arcane bullets. Tucker took a deep breath and waited at ease. Not long after, a spellcaster sequence, arcane wizard, wearing a purple robe came from the back. Compared with wizards like Tucker who are source energy wizards, arcane wizards are more like humanoid self-propelled turrets. The firepower highlights one word: violent. And as their unique magic network, they can vent a large amount of magic and witchcraft in a short period of time. But also because of the construction of the ecological magic network. Their wizard ecology is not as stable as that of the source wizard. In the era when the extraordinary schools were once booming. For the source wizards, arcane wizards, single-line elemental wizards and other factions, who is the truth? Various schools are arguing endlessly. Often because of the competition for a very ordinary resource area, they fight each other. A steam bun caused a tragedy between two different academy schools. There are endless cases. But until the roar of steam machinery sounded, all factions were ruthlessly crushed under the cold steam rails. Steam wizards are the real version, answer, and the truth of the world. However, there are still many conflicts between different wizards. The young arcane wizard glanced at Tucker and walked past Tucker. In that look, there was a trace of murderous intent that could not be concealed. Philly blow. Tucker, of course, knew this talented rookie from Lamore. If it weren't for Ziller, this guy would have become Lamore's genius. It is said that in order to wait for the steam core, this guy stayed at level 19 for several years. In the end, it was snatched away by Ziller, and there were two of them. Tucker estimated that this guy called Philip Bro must have been so angry that he broke his defense. Feeling the trace of murderous intent, Tucker fumbled for the extraordinary storage bracelet on his wrist. It seems that this guy knows that I got the steam core. Immediately, Tucker's eyes were slightly condensed and his smile gradually became ferocious. Several forces with different thoughts. The secret plot of the Dark Sun Church. A genius from the same force who covets me. This trip to the Demon King's tomb is getting more and more interesting. Chapter 84. The only designated core of the team. The commotion in the Demon King's tomb has informed the geniuses of several major forces. After the young arcane wizard, several 18th and 19th level genius elite extraordinary people from the Lamore Tower that Tucker knew entered one after another. Following closely behind were several geniuses from the St. Land Extraordinary Academy, including Blang. The members of his team were obviously centered around him. Blang saw Tucker from a distance and nodded slightly at Tucker. Tucker also nodded slightly in response. Among the many entrants from Lamore, several 18th and 19th level geniuses and elites stood close to Tucker when they saw Tucker. "Hello, I'm Goodle, and I'm also the captain of this team," introduced by Miss Hiller. Goodle, a burly ranger with short black hair, introduced himself to Tucker. "We wanted to team up with you before, But Miss Hiller said you were practicing witchcraft alone, so we couldn't disturb you. Now. Ranger Goodle glanced at the direction of the door of the Demon King's tomb, which should be open soon, and then lowered his voice. The Demon King's tomb is about to open. I think we should learn more about it, so that we can cooperate better. Originally, Tucker wanted to act alone. But Tucker's request was rejected by Hiller. There is no need for you to form a team alone. After all, this mission is centered on the team. After the team completes the mission, you can act freely. No one will care what you want to do at that time. There is no doubt that Tucker is a person who listens to advice. And the team in front of him is the team that Hiller selected for Tucker. Rather than saying that Hiller selected it, it is better to say that it is one of the core teams formed by the wizard Count Lamore. The Ranger Goodle in front of him. In terms of talent, he is not inferior to the team that wanted to kill him just now, Philly Blow. Marcus, the Heavy Knight. The people behind introduced themselves one after another. Raymond Corey, the Berserker. Banov, the Thief, and I will be solely responsible for the transmission and storage of all the materials of the Spiritual Bridge channel this time. The young man who looked very refined said swiftly, and he also looked at Tucker with great interest. Honey, the priest. The last priest was cold and deserted. Wizard, Tucker. Tucker also introduced himself. At this time, the barrier at the entrance of the Demon King's tomb sent out strange fluctuations. Everyone raised their heads and looked over carefully. They saw that the blocking barrier slowly opened. Blood, death, and the messy veins of battle appeared in front of Tucker. The not so large area at the entrance of the Demon King's tomb had obviously experienced a bloody battle. Several strong men left without saying much. Soon, only a transcendent wearing a star blue divination robe was left at the entrance of the Demon King's tomb, stationed here. Astrologer, Oswaya, if you really think he is a fortune teller, then when he crushes your dog head, it will be too late for you to regret. Oswaya, a skilled fighter. It is said that he can trip an ant passing by. And he has studied astrology for most of his life. Aubrey's answer is, Oswaya's divination, you should do it the opposite way. Just when everyone was still hesitant, Oswaya spoke slowly. His expression was calm and natural, and he had the calmness of a natural astrological wise man from inside to outside. If you don't know Oswaya, you might even think he is really an astrologer. Almost everyone is here, let's all come over. As about 40 or 50 people gathered, the entrance to the Demon King's tomb, which was originally not very large, became more and more crowded. Looking around at everyone, Oswaya spoke in a mellow voice. Just now, a very tragic sneak attack occurred here. Their purpose is very clear, which is to prevent us from exploring the Demon King's tomb. Fortunately, we repelled their attack. But Oswaya pointed to the Demon King's sealed door behind him. The development rhythm of the sealed door has been interrupted. It is currently being reshaped. 3 days. Oswaya gave a precise time. 3 days later, it will be the official opening time of the Demon King's sealed door. As soon as these words came out, everyone's expressions changed, and many people's eyes burst into light. After all, the main purpose of everyone entering here this time is for the mysterious treasures in the Demon King's seal. And the leader-level crystal materials that are hard to find outside. The more talented the extraordinary people are, the more they know how important the foundation of the extraordinary primary stage is. 3 elite materials for promotion and 2 elites plus 1 leader material are completely different. The promotion of materials of different difficulty levels will also be treated very differently in the High Tower. Not to mention, there are some mysterious and unknown treasures in the Demon King's seal. As long as you complete the tasks given by the Tower Masters, all other gains belong to the person who enters. Otherwise, who would be willing to risk their lives in that dangerous Demon King sealed place? So, just wait here quietly. Having said this, Oswaya said nothing more, and sat on the ground near the Demon King sealed gate, waiting with his eyes closed. Many teams looked at each other, and none of them had any intention of leaving here. Team leader Goodle looked around and lowered his voice. Come here. Not long after, the 6 members of the team sat down in a corner of a wider corridor. Goodle took out a lantern-shaped alchemical magic item and activated it. A spherical barrier radiated out, covering the location of everyone. This is a sound wave barrier, which can avoid other people eavesdropping on us. Goodle explained with a slightly solemn look. In 3 days, the Demon King seal will be opened. So, regarding this time, I will also inform you of Lord Earl Rammer's instructions and tasks to me. Everyone focused their eyes on Goodall. As the captain appointed by Count Larmor, he undoubtedly has the most information and data. According to the data we have previously obtained, the Demon King's tomb we entered this time is a very dangerous area. Goodall slowly explained. It has the characteristics of darkness and fog of the underground Demon King's city unique to the underground world, and it also has the conversion characteristics of the stacking of extraordinary layers. To put it simply, the underground city Demon King's tomb we entered this time is a huge moving maze that can devour extraordinary people. If you get lost in the depths and have no ability to distinguish, you will probably be trapped in it forever. Less than 1/3 of the dozen scouts who entered to explore before returned. This is the success rate of them not exploring deep, but only exploring nearby. If we go deep, it is possible that the whole army will be wiped out. When he said this, Goodall looked at the priest Hani in the team. Hani is the guide in our team who can identify the location of the Demon King's tomb. This time, our goal of entering the Demon King's tomb is also very simple. Goodall lowered his voice. Go to the area near the second floor, destroy a tribe of creatures with the characteristics of the Demon King sequence, and transfer the crystals of the Demon King sequence there back. The transfer process is in the charge of Banov. Banov has already said it before. At this point, Goodall looked at Banov with a serious expression. Banov, I told you these things before, not for you to show off. Do you know how many eyes were staring at you when you were telling this story just now? Do you think that those Tower City states, knowing your specific position, will take the lead in killing them? Or even snatch your extraordinary storage bracelet? You idiot, those things I taught you before, you didn't take them to heart at all. Goodall scolded Banov like scolding his son. At this time, Banov's embarrassment and annoyance were beyond words, and his pair of originally dexterous hands had nowhere to put. If you do such a stupid operation again, no matter how good your luck is, you will ruin it. After scolding Banov, Goodall looked around at everyone. Finally, his eyes were fixed on Tucker, and he spoke again slowly. And the core figure of our operation this time is not me, nor is it Banov and Honey who hold any core positions, but the only extraordinary wizard in our team, Mr. Tucker. He is the only designated core in our team. As the voice fell, all eyes in the team focused on Tucker. Chapter 85, The Devil's Tomb, Enter. Me. Tucker was stunned by the confusion, curiosity and puzzled gazes. You are not kidding. I am just a nobody following you, a lazy person who shouts 666 behind you. I have even made plans to pick up some elite crystals that you don't want behind you. In the end, you want me to be the main force. Looking at Goodall's cautious and solemn eyes, Tucker saw it. Not only was the other party telling the truth, it seemed that he also knew some of his real methods. Goodall, we don't know much about Lord Tucker yet, and he is really a little too young. Is it really okay for Lord Larmor to arrange this? It was the priest Hone who raised the question in everyone's mind. Goodall looked at Tucker without elaborating too much. Tucker took a deep breath and said seriously, Captain Goodall probably meant that I am a wizard, and a wizard who prefers to fight. Output ability is definitely the core of the team. Therefore, when fighting, I need to be the core. Tucker paused. But this exploration must be completed with everyone's cooperation. Right, Captain Goodall. Tucker looked at Goodall. After a while, Goodall nodded slightly. That's what I mean, just understand it. I hope that Mr. Tucker can give full play to his strength at that time. After all, the sooner we get the resources, the sooner we can act freely. Don't worry, I will. Tucker nodded in response. The small team meeting ended. Everyone found a suitable place to sit down in the corner, or rest. Tucker took out a meditation blanket, sat on it steadily, and absorbed the steam core steadily in secret. At the beginning, steam resonance was needed to absorb the power of the steam core. As part of the steam sequence seeds took root in Tucker's wizard sequence tree, there was no need for external steam resonance. Only the seed power in the wizard tree was needed to guide the external steam core and complete the absorption process. Moreover, as more and more steam sequence characteristics were deposited in the wizard tree, Tucker's absorption speed was getting faster and faster. Tucker could often hear the roar of steam from his ears. It felt as if his steam sequence was cheering and roaring to the world. Along with Tucker's breathing and heartbeat, the furnace engine was also surging slightly. The power of the steam sequence has begun to flow in Tucker's blood. Time passed. Tucker was steadily polishing the witchcraft and extraordinary sequence. The time to enter the Demon King's tomb was getting closer and closer. The many teams in the underground passage were also becoming more cautious. After all, no one knew whether the attack of the Dark Sun Church would come back, or when it would come. Tucker didn't know the situation of others, but here in Tucker could see through the situation in the soil of the earth. Those members of the Dark Sun Church. If they dare to come, Tucker dares to teach them a good lesson. However, the members of the Dark Sun Church did not come. Even the members of the Dark Sun Church who came here for reconnaissance did not come. They could obviously fit the ash dark tide and approach here for reconnaissance. This strange silence made Tucker smell some dangerous breath. Since the danger of the Dark Sun Church is not outside, there is no doubt that the danger has been sent into the depths of the Demon King's tomb by the Dark Sun Church. In a quiet corner, Tucker was quietly absorbing the power of the steam caller. Captain Goodall. Zilur's voice broke the silence. For a while, many members of other teams waiting in the cave looked over. The Demon Gate's sealed door has stabilized, you can go in. Although Zilur's voice was not loud, it made everyone in the underground cave feel nervous. The Demon King's sealed door. It was finally opened. For a while, people gathered. Many eyes were on the team that Goodall was in. They hoped to find some clues from it. After all, the door to the Demon King's tomb was opened. The first team to enter was often the one with the greatest hope. However, when everyone looked over, they did not gain anything. The first team member to enter, except Goodall, who had a little reputation in the city-state of Lamore Tower, was mediocre. Tucker followed Goodall in the crowd and passed through the barrier door. As soon as he entered here, Tucker felt that many powerful forces were secretly watching. It seemed that Oswego was stationed here alone. In fact, almost all the strong men of Lamore Tower now left their means here. The secret game had already started quietly. The power of the steam tower opened a 2-meter-high and 1-meter-wide ellipsoidal door on the original Demon King's sealed door. The breath of darkness, fog, and creeping, and the power of the steam tower, reached a balance in the door frame. Everyone be careful. Oswego glanced at everyone and warned them in a soothing tone. After all, you are the team with the greatest hope this time. Count Lamore said that as long as you bring back enough Demon King sequence characteristics or Demon King ability characteristics, you will all receive extremely high rewards. And it's a reward you never expected. The team members looked at each other. They didn't expect that the ordinary-looking team was actually the greatest hope of the whole village. Okay. Let's get started. Oswego waved his hand. Marcus. Goodall ordered immediately. The heavy knight Marcus held up an extraordinary heavy shield thicker than a door panel. Priest Honey cast an auxiliary blessing spell on him, and Goodall also performed the blessing. Then Marcus pushed indirectly. Berserker, Raymond Corey followed closely behind. Tucker. Following Goodall's voice, Tucker took a step forward, and the shadow swept over. Tucker, who entered the shadow state, disappeared into the sealed doorway. As soon as he entered the doorway, Tucker felt that there were forces pressing in from all directions. This was the imprisoning power of the sealed door itself. As he went deeper, various strange and extraordinary characteristics continued to penetrate. What Tucker felt most clearly was the creeping of the layer domain. The world behind the sealed door seemed to be a living giant beast. Wow. Law. With the cutting of the entity and the illusion, Tucker, who was in the shadow state, successfully passed through the sealed door and landed safely. Tucker took a deep breath and looked at the Demon King's tomb where he had been developing steadily for 2 months. The air was filled with the 2 extraordinary ecological characteristics unique to the Demon King's tomb, mist and darkness. The simple night would not hinder the penetration of light. But the darkness characteristic in the Demon King's tomb would devour light. Tucker waved his hand. 3 shadow flame demon wolves jumped out of the shadow behind Tucker, and then quietly sank into the darkness. Tucker took out the lantern and threw the condensed light-shaping spear ball into it. Hoolah! The nearly substantial darkness was instantly pushed away by the light for 30 or 40 meters. Well, this section of the wizard tree has absorbed the light characteristics of the angel sequence, and the power of my light-shaping spear ball has also increased a lot. Looking around, Tucker's eyes narrowed slightly. This light is too strong. As Tucker controlled the light-shaping spear ball, the power of the light was quickly converged, and in the end, it only pushed the darkness away for about 15 or 16 meters. Tucker's shadow demon wolf was at the edge of the light, cruising and following. If it only had the darkness characteristic, it would at most make people feel slower. The really tricky and troublesome fog characteristic is that fog characteristics will make people lose their sense of direction. If they fall into the fog vortex, they will spin in place until they die. At this time, the heavy knight Marcus, who had entered earlier than Tucker, and the berserker Raymond Corey had already begun to circle in the fog. Chapter 86. Let's get Big Brother up to speed first. This damn darkness. Holding a torch, he illuminated the 5 sword marks on the iron blue stone, the size of a stone roller in front of him. Berserker Raymond Corey's anger began to flow out of his eyes uncontrollably. Why are we back here again? I swear. This is definitely the straightest straight line ever walked. Raymond Corey roared in a low voice. Berserker Raymond Corey followed the heavy knight Marcus in, and found that he had lost Marcus after entering. The darkness of the Demon King's tomb was really dark. His torch could only illuminate a distance of 2 meters around him at most. A little further out, he could not see anything. After lighting the torch and walking around here, he found 2 strange stones that were almost exactly the same in length. Then a magical thing happened. Every time he walked a distance past the strange stone, he would see the same strange stone again. After repeated identification, Raymond Corey discovered the stones he encountered were clearly the same stone. Raymond Corey, who didn't believe in evil, carved a sword mark on the stone, and then walked in a straight line with his back against the stone. A strange thing happened. Although he felt that he was walking straight, the strange stone would always magically appear in front of him. This was the 6th time Raymond Corey tried to leave this strange stone. It must be this stone that did it. The angry Raymond Corey swung his broadsword and chopped it down fiercely. Boom! The broadsword split the stone in 2. That was not enough. Blood went sword light slash. As Raymond Corey roared, his solid and powerful muscles bulged, and blood red, anger, poured into the broadsword. The blood-colored sword energy intertwined and cut the strange stone crazily. When the strange stone was completely shattered, light shone in. Sure enough, it was this damn stone that was causing trouble. Raymond Corey was overjoyed. Following the light, he saw a shadow. Tucker. Raymond Corey tried to shout. It's me. Tucker's voice came from the shadow. Don't come over here, be careful of that stone. Raymond Corey shouted as he ran to Tucker's side. Stone? Yes, that weird stone makes people go in circles, but fortunately I broke the stone and broke the weird circle. Raymond Corey's tone was full of confidence and affirmation. Tucker looked at the pile of stones that were cut behind Raymond Corey. Do you think there is a possibility that it is an ordinary stone? Tucker nodded. It's really a bit strange here, but light can dispel darkness and keep us from getting lost. Raymond Corey looked at the rich light of the lantern in Tucker's hand, and Tucker in the shadow state. Light and shadow, so close, can they live in peace? The wizard's methods are really amazing. Looking in one direction, Tucker said slowly. Okay, let's go find Marcus. Raymond Corey followed Tucker and followed the light. Soon, there was a fierce collision between fists and the rock wall. When the light shone over, Marcus's deep and powerful voice came. Don't come over, be careful of this wall, it will make people lost here. Fortunately, I broke this wall and just broke the weirdness that makes people lost. Waving his fists and carrying a door-like shield on his back, Marcus strode over with a confident step. And at this time, listening to these familiar words, Raymond Corey couldn't help but look at the wizard holding the light and hiding in the shadows beside him. Then he looked at the large cracked wall behind Marcus, and a strange thought emerged. Is there a possibility that it is an ordinary wall? Just when one person was confident and the other was confused, Tucker looked in a direction and whispered. Follow me closely, don't fall behind, they are in trouble. The 2 men were inspired, gripped their weapons, and followed Tucker closely. The originally silent darkness, as the 3 approached, the sound of fighting instantly amplified. The darkness feature not only devours light, but also blocks out sound. Gooter, Banov, and Honey were being chased madly by a group of bone-eating birds. Bone-eating birds are similar to ostriches, but they have extremely terrifying bite force, and bones can be easily chewed into pieces in their mouths. This is also the origin of the name of bone-eating birds. Fortunately, the light of the lantern in Honey's hand was strong enough to support a large area of darkness. Otherwise, if they were trapped in the darkness and circled around, and were besieged by bone-eating birds, they would be torn apart by bone-eating birds in a minute. If there were only 3 or 5, or 7 or 8, the 3 of them would naturally be able to deal with them. But at this time, The number of bone-eating birds was as many as 50 or 60. And the level was above level 25. Among them was the elite bone-eating bird that was more than 3 meters tall. With its huge beak open, it could bite the head to pieces. No wonder the three escaped so quickly. When they saw Tucker and the other three, Gooter, the leader, shouted immediately, "Run, don't stay here, these bone-eating birds are very powerful. We killed some just now, and it seems that we have offended them." As soon as he finished speaking, bang! A strong and powerful roar tore through the air and exploded on everyone's eardrums. Arcane shooting is a gesture magic that combines arcane magic web and steam shooting. Under Tucker's focus on strengthening, the 19th level arcane shooting is already comparable to some frontal attack magic. Accompanied by the roar of arcane shooting, the head of the tallest and most aggressive elite among the flock of bone-eating birds exploded on the spot, and most of its head was directly gone. Its body fell to the ground with a rumble. The elite bone-eating bird, with a level of up to 29, was shot in the head by Tucker. However, what shocked everyone even more was yet to come. Bang, bang, bang. The roaring sound of shooting continued to sound, like a drumbeat with a dense and compact rhythm. The rushing bone-eating birds fell one after another. Especially those elite bone-eating birds, they were Tucker's first target. The fallen bone-eating birds in front tripped many bone-eating birds behind. The bone-eating bird flock was in chaos. The miraculous arcane shooting method severely attacked the hearts of everyone in the team. Counterattack. Counterattack. While being horrified, Goodle made a decision at the first time. The Heavy Knight Marcus and the Berserker rushed towards the bone-eating birds. They had to block the subsequent bone-eating birds and act as a firepower attraction point to help Tucker create more witchcraft casting time. The veins of arcane shooting accurately cut into the eyes of those bone-eating birds. Each shot will take the life of a bone-eating bird. As a flesh and blood creature, the damage to the weak point is particularly fatal. At this time, follow the eyes to the head, causing fatal damage that breaks. Let Tucker shoot a bone-eating bird. Goodle's counterattack is not to attack the bone-eating bird. Instead, he first blessed Tucker, the big brother, with a war song State of the Ranger. The 3 war songs of speed, sharpness and energy improved Tucker's spellcasting efficiency, the penetration of arcane bullets, and the recovery of energy. At this time, the gunshots became more frequent. Honey, a priest with an injured arm, did not treat himself. He first put a life shield on Tucker, and then gave Tucker's right arm, which was used for casting spells, a special endurance recovery in the arm exclusive area. Then he treated himself. This kind of arcane shooting method will cause great pressure on the arm. The life shield can bear the backlash pressure of the arm. And the endurance recovery can restore the state of the arm, making the arm as durable and strong as the unicorn arm. It has to be said. These 2 guys in the auxiliary sequence. The speed of hugging the thigh highlights a fast, accurate, steady and ruthless. And Tucker's performance far exceeds their understanding of wizards. In this area deep in the darkness, where light surges, the sound of gunfire and death interweave the melody of the city. The death knell for the fall of the bone-eating bird colony has sounded. There are 2 more chapters to come tonight. Chapter 87, The Wriggling Domain. Bang! As the last struggling bone-eating bird fell under Tucker's magic, the battle came to an end. At this time, everyone in the team quietly focused their attention on Tucker. Before, when their team was the first to enter the Demon King's tomb and was expected to do so, they were still confused. Are we really that powerful? But now the results are out. Not only that, but the overall strength of the team is ridiculously strong. Wizard Tucker. He only used a simple shooting magic to get rid of this very dangerous group of bone-eating birds. The superb high-frequency aiming and amazing lethality were simply a feast of the art of killing. If it were them, they might be able to solve it, but it would definitely consume a lot of their means, and even some personnel would be lost. Several people looked at Tucker, each of them thoughtful. And Tucker was looking at the bone-eating birds that Tucker shot one by one. These elite bone-eating birds are around level 28 or 29. Ordinary bone-eating birds are around level 25 or 27. Generally speaking, it's impossible for the levels to be so even. Then, Tucker looked around at the darkness around him, as well as the dullness and depression that was unique to the tomb's ecology. It's the upper limit of the tomb's extraordinary ecology that has curbed the levels of these creatures. A small extraordinary ecology cannot accommodate the emergence of high-level life forms. In other words, Tucker's eyes narrowed slightly. The leader-level life forms here, if you're lucky, will be level 30 or 31. If you're unlucky, they will only be level 29. A leader at the peak of the second level or the beginning of the third level. Hunting, there's still a lot of hope. In addition to the core goal of touching the second level of the Demon King's tomb, those leaders are also Tucker's main hunting targets. Even in St. Lander, a prosperous and extraordinary city-state, the price of leader-level materials is extremely expensive and rare. At present, I haven't felt that the Dark Sun Church has made any moves here. In addition, the other teams, because of the difference in time of entry, the landing point is also different from ours. Relying on the powerful and precise vision, Tucker constantly captured the information of the surrounding veins and trajectories. In this environment of darkness and fog, with SSS-level precision and correction, more information can be obtained. This is Tucker's advantage. Soon, the extraordinary crystals that fell off when the bone-eating bird died were collected by Banov. Marcus and Raymond, who had attracted firepower in front and were slightly injured, have recovered after the treatment of the priest. 9 elite crystals and 24 ordinary crystals. Quite a good harvest. Banov counted the harvest in public and put it away. Then he continued, this group of bone-eating birds may have a bone-eating bird leader. But the habitat of bone-eating birds is very strange. It is on the cliff and the cave veins are very complicated. If we go in, it will definitely take a lot of time, and we are not sure whether there is a bone-eating bird leader, and whether there is a tree of the devil's characteristics there. At this point, Banov looked at the Captain Goodall. Goodall looked at Tucker. There should be no leader. Tucker responded lightly, indicating his attitude. Goodall retracted his gaze, gradually swept over the team members, and then slowly spoke. According to the information we have, the Devil's Tomb is a dynamic maze with stacked layers. So when we entered, each of us landed at a different point. Now our team members have gathered. Then we need to enter the maze of the Devil's Tomb as soon as possible to find the Devil's characteristics we need. At this point, Goodall looked at Honey. Can you determine the direction to go deeper? Priest Honey looked at the lantern in his hand, stared at it for a moment, and then nodded, okay. That's good. Goodall took a deep breath and looked at everyone. The Demon King's tomb is filled with the characteristics of darkness and mist. Everyone must follow Honey's light closely. Once you fall into the darkness, you will completely lose your direction. By then, it will be impossible for us to find it back. Just the periphery is full of extraordinary creatures like bone-eating birds that make us busy. Going deeper inside will only become more and more dangerous. Goodall's words made everyone's face filled with solemn expressions. After all, this is the tomb of a powerful demon king sealed by many powerful wizards. Although the level of the extraordinary creatures here is not very high. But the weird ecology here can devour them if you are not careful. In addition, Goodall looked at Tucker. Tucker, you walk behind. No problem. Tucker glanced at the depths of darkness from the corner of his eye and nodded slightly. Deep in the darkness, where the light cannot reach, something is secretly watching everyone. If the others were to walk behind, they might disappear while walking. Tucker was behind, at least he could ensure that no one would fall behind inexplicably. Soon, everyone who had finished resting and preparing, centered on the light of Pastor Honey's lantern, began to explore in depth in the darkness, leaving certain marks. Compared to Tucker's team, which began to explore the Demon King's tomb steadily, the other team members were not so lucky. Even with the corresponding intelligence support, some people were still lost in the darkness as soon as they came in, and were out of touch with the team. Some unlucky guys even broke into the monster's lair and died in despair. The huge maze of tomb layers built by the Demon King before his fall began to devour the lives of these intruders again hundreds of years after his death. Just like in the ancient Dark Ages, those fearless warriors used their heads to provoke the Demon King's axe. In the darkness of the advance, the creeping of the space domains made the whole tomb world tremble every once in a while. The domains constructed by the fallen Demon King had become a magical little world under the continuous stacking. I don't know if other people can see those small-scale domain plates that are constantly moving. But Tucker can see it clearly. Every time the space domain of the tomb creeps, swamps, plateaus, ridges, glaciers, underground towns. The topography of different domains appeared in front of Tucker one after another. This made Tucker sigh at the magic of the powerful Demon King's means. It was a gravel road a moment ago, but after a few steps, it turned into a muddy swamp. There were even some blood-sucking worms in the swamp. Raymond Corey, the berserker in the team, was more popular with those blood-sucking worms. The blood-sucking worms in the swamp didn't suck others, but chased him madly. If Raymond Corey ran slower, he would probably be sucked dry by those terrifying blood-sucking worms. Fortunately, under Honey's leadership, everyone arrived at a new node at the right time. After entering the next layer, they got rid of the blood-sucking worms that surrounded them from all directions. The battle was not very quiet along the way. Every time they entered a lair, there were different extraordinary creatures. Fortunately, there was Tucker's escort. There were 3 or 5 ordinary extraordinary creatures scattered here and there, and Tucker didn't need to take action at all. The Shadow Flame Wolf could solve them. And for more extraordinary creatures, the team would enter combat mode. Create output space for Tucker, and Tucker's various witchcraft methods never let the team members down. At the foot of the wide ridge, waving a broad blade sword, Raymond Corey fiercely cut off the vines wrapped around his feet, and vented his anger wantonly. And around, there were already more than a dozen vine tentacles that had been cut off. Along the way, they encountered various strange extraordinary creatures, as well as the weird and bizarre environment called a wriggling lair. Raymond Corey felt a sense of frustration that he had no power to use. And these vines that he could see and touch and fight head-on were just what he wanted. A real man should fight like this. Looking at the broken vines that were still twitching, Raymond Corey raised his broadsword again. Even if he was dead, he had to whip his corpse again, otherwise, there would be no such good opportunity later. At this time, not far away, Tucker, Goodle, Honey and others were gathering together. The several layers we passed before obviously had more extraordinary creatures. And this lair. Honey glanced at the vines where Raymond Corey was practicing swordsmanship. Even if there are earth vines, they are not that powerful. So, this place should be very close to the deeper part of the second layer of the Demon King's tomb. At the same time, there should be powerful leader-level creatures and the Demon King's characteristic tree here. Here, it's probably a place worth exploring. As Honey finished his explanation, Gudarka looked at Tucker and asked, "Tucker, what do you think?" Chapter 88 Mountain Giant Bear. How do I see it? Tucker raised his head and looked at the dark boundary where the light stretched out not far away. There was a narrow winding path on the ridge. And the winding path along the ridge extended all the way up. In the depths of darkness, where others could not see, there was a powerful and amazing aura of the leader. At the same time, the purple veins connecting the deep layers were also clearly visible. There were indeed Demon King characteristics there. Honey is right. Tucker nodded. This is indeed a place worth exploring. Along the way, although Tucker could also find the right path through the veins of the world, and even contact deeper layers faster through shortcuts. But Tucker did not do so rashly. Gradually understand the world trajectory of the creeping of the layers of the Demon King's tomb. Even take advantage of the creeping of the layers to explore the situation of other extraordinary teams through the changes in the veins of different layers, and even explore the dark sun dimensions that poured in. This is the safest way. After all, Tucker doesn't want to be trapped here because of his own tricks. At the same time, Tucker had no intention of acting as a guide in the team. If Tucker led the way. Once Tucker left, the road that the rest of the team had taken would inevitably be a road of no return. Everyone would die here. Honey led the way by himself. It might be a little difficult, but at least they could find the rules and walk back by themselves. After getting Tucker's affirmation, Gouda looked around and said, "In that case, let's rest here for a while." Then, Gouda looked at the rugged mountain road at the edge of the light not far away. Go up and face that fierce battle. As a ranger, Gouda has the ability to listen to the sounds of nature. From those vines, stone steps, and the stream not far away, he heard the breathing of the bear. The bear sleeping on the top of the earth mountain is a giant earth bear. Giant earth bear is a terrifying creature comparable to a dragon. A lord-level mountain giant bear? That should be unlikely. At least, this layer of world doesn't seem to be able to breed a mountain giant bear lord-level existence. But at least it is a top mountain giant bear leader-level existence. Mountain giant bear bloodline. A leader-level creature close to the devil. Either one is a terrifying existence. If it is really a third-level creature, even if Tucker is willing to fight, Goodle will stop it. Goodle believes that Tucker can escape. But the rest of them are afraid that they will die here and become the dinner of the mountain giant bear. If it is a second-level creature, then you can still try. Soon the bonfire was lit. The light of the bonfire did not support the darkness, but it could give people a warm and comfortable feeling. Several people took out food to replenish. It has been half a day since they entered the devil's tomb. Everyone is either fighting or rushing. There is no time to rest. When the battle is approaching, it is natural to adjust to the best state. Pastor Honey extinguished the lantern in his hand. Looking at the slightly painful expression on his face, it can be seen that he is obviously also a surrender to the continuous release of the sacred light. Tucker took out a cake specially packed from Ziller and ate them slowly. Feeling the breeze, he made sure there was no danger. Goodle took out some fruits and vegetables to supplement. Goodle is a devout vegetarian sect fundamentalist. If I heard correctly, there should be a leader with the blood of the mountain giant bear on the mountain. Goodle's voice, accompanied by the crackling of the fire, sounded abruptly, although they knew that there would be a fierce battle later. But when Goodle elaborated on the guy they were about to deal with, many people's faces sank slightly. Mountain giant bear blood? That is a terrifying creature comparable to a dragon. Especially the heavy knight Marcus, when he heard that he would face a mountain giant bear later. In his hand, the heavy battle shield, like a door panel, suddenly became heavy and a little unstable. The power of the mountain giant bear is enough to shake the terrifying guy of the mountain. If he really resists it, then his death will be beyond everyone's imagination. What's wrong? Are you scared? Raymond Corey leaned over and laughed. Marcus took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "Every blow from the mountain giant bear will be a testimony to my strength. Then you'd better be able to withstand it and not be beaten to death all at once, otherwise, I can't save you." Honey, who was repairing the lantern in his hand, did not mind the trouble and added seriously. For a moment, the air was a little stagnant. "After you go up, be smart and don't resist the attack of that big guy." At this time, Tucker spoke, breaking the silence and stalemate. "Even if Xyluer comes, he may not be able to withstand it. You just need to continue to harass and hinder. I will be responsible for the output." Tucker's words made everyone feel relieved. After all, the mountain giant bear, this kind of powerful creature that is clearly written in the extraordinary course, is absolutely not to be provoked. With their body and physique, whoever resists will die. Tucker looked at the dark depths leading to the ridge. "Wait until the next wave of wriggling domains completes the exchange, then we'll set off." Not long after, the world's domains were wriggling, and gravel was falling. Everyone stood up. This time, Tucker took the lead. As they climbed, the snoring of the mountain giant bear gradually sounded. From the slight snoring at the beginning, when everyone reached the top of the mountain, the snoring was like thunder. At the entrance of the huge bear's den that was 10 meters high, Goodle listened carefully. After a moment, he turned and looked at everyone. "It's the 29th level mountain giant bear leader. Moreover, there is the power of the Demon King sequence inside. I have heard those powers threatening me. It seems that we have come to the right place. Start preparing." Following Goodle's instructions, everyone immediately got busy. This time, everyone's goal was to enter the depths of the Demon King's tomb, complete the hunt for a powerful leader-level creature, and then pass the Demon King's characteristics back. Since the main purpose is to attack the powerful leader-level creature, naturally, all the core forces and resources are prepared for this. Even the exclusive enhancement aspects of the several witchcrafts that Tucker learned this time. They were all for the purpose of killing powerful leader creatures, and they invested more energy experience. Soon everyone had arranged everything. "Who of you can summon flesh and blood?" Tucker asked. The sheep transformation technique can turn many creatures of different life forms into sheep. However, the smell of flesh and blood will be better when the sheep is transformed from flesh and blood. "I can do it," Pastor Honey said on the side. "Then come one." Following the summons of Pastor Honey, not long after, a dark succubus walked out of the summoning spell formation. The newly born dark succubus had not taken a second look at this world. Tucker used the sheep transformation technique to turn it into a delicious sheep. At this time, the snoring in the depths of the cave was slightly interrupted. The big guy in the cave seemed to have smelled something. Glancing at the cave, Tucker sped up. Then in front of everyone, he touched the succubus. Everyone watching on the side was amazed. Watching Tucker's skillful operation, they also realized that this was probably not the first time Tucker had done this. While the big guy was still awake, a shadow flame wolf jumped out from the shadows on the side. "Drive it in." As Tucker gave the order, the shadow flame wolf turned into a sheepdog and drove the succubus sheep deep into the cave where the mountain giant bear was. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. Soon, the Shadow Flame Wolf, who had completed his mission, ran out like a fly. Obviously, the Shadow Flame Wolf who followed Tucker into the Demon King's tomb also knew the danger here. A large number of excited light-shaping spear balls were stuffed into the sheepskin and flesh of the phantom who had turned into sheep. It was a very cruel, bloody, and shameless method. But at this time, everyone agreed that Tucker should stuff more. It has the blood of the mountain giant bear. At the same time, it grows on the edge of the Demon King's sequence tree. And the entire space layer is its territory. This top-level leader-level mountain giant bear is not an exaggeration to say that it is quasi-lord level. Tucker and everyone joined forces to kill the undead bone dragon in the undead rift under the Lamore Undead Tower. In front of this mountain giant bear, it is estimated that it can be dismantled on the spot by the mountain giant bear and use its bones to pick its teeth. Deep in the mountain giant bear cave, the snoring is vaguely interrupted, and the mountain giant bear is about to wake up. Everyone outside the cave held their breath. Soon, the snoring stopped abruptly. Then, baa. The shrill scream of the succubus sheep was heard. The air suddenly became quiet for 2 or 3 seconds. Then, boom, violent and hot, mixed with a light of holiness and punishment. In the huge and terrifying shock that was enough to shake the entire mountain, it radiated from the depths of the cave. Roar, roar, roar. The angry roar of the mountain giant bear swept out with the power of the mountains of the entire world. Boom, 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 boom. The mountain giant bear made the earth tremble with every step. Disperse and act according to the plan. Following Goodle's low roar, everyone immediately dispersed. Even Tucker escaped under the rock wall not far away in a shadow state. Roar, roar, roar. The roaring angry mountain giant bear rushed out from the depths of the cave. Just walking on 4 legs on the ground, the height of its back was 5 or 6 meters. From head to tail, it was probably 10 meters. This terrifying big guy squeezed into the dark area that everyone had opened up like a small mountain. The mountain giant bear. This is really a terrifying existence like a mountain. Tucker's eyes twitched slightly when he saw this scene. The mountain giant bear was attacked by Tucker's mutton balm. Its jaw seemed to be cracked by the explosion, and the sticky dark golden blood kept flowing and dripping, dyeing a large area of the rocky ground red. Even its eyes were blood red at this time. I don't know if it was because of the blood congestion in the head caused by the explosion, or because it was completely furious. Hey, big guy. Standing at the edge of the light, Banov waved his arms like a warrior and roared loudly at the injured mountain giant bear. At the same time, Banov used the throwing extraordinary skill of a low level to throw an ordinary iron dagger over. The dagger, without bias, just hit the injured jaw of the mountain giant bear. The damage was not high, but the hatred-attracting nature was extremely strong. Roar. Dark golden blood mixed with angry roars splashed everywhere. The mountain giant bear rumbled forward. Facing the scene of a mountain pressing down on him, Banov's legs trembled. A bunch of damn bastards, who decided to kill this big guy? And let me be the bait, this is definitely a wrong decision. When the mountain giant bear was almost 1 slap away from Banov, who had been trembling with fear, suddenly jumped back. Behind him was an extremely steep slope. Banov had the ability to walk on steep rock walls, but the mountain giant bear did not. Once the mountain giant bear rolled down here, the very narrow valley below would be enough to restrict the mountain giant bear for a while. That would provide Tucker with enough output time. Bang! As the mountain giant bear slapped down, large pieces of stone on the edge of the cliff cracked. But the mountain giant bear also braked in time. The mountain giant bear did not fall down. This scene made everyone's heart tremble slightly. If he hadn't fallen, he would have faced such a quasi-lord level creature head-on, and it was a guy whose blood was dark golden and viscous, and whose blood concentration was off the charts. The chances of winning were slim. Fortunately, everyone's arrangements were far more than that. The trap collapsed. Banov, who was hiding in a safe place on the cliff below, activated the trap directly. The mountain giant bear on the edge of the cliff saw a large piece of stone collapse under its feet. The mountain giant bear fell down the steep cliff. Roar, roar, roar. The roaring mountain giant bear climbed up with all its limbs. At the same time, everyone attacked at the same time. Bang! Bang! Tucker's two arcane shots were aimed at the two blood-red eyes of the mountain giant bear. Marcus, the heavy knight hiding in the dark corner, also charged at the mountain giant bear at this time. Even if he could contribute a little bit of strength, it would be enough. Berserker Raymond Corey was no less powerful at this time, and he rushed over at a faster speed. The great sword slashed at the front paws of the mountain giant bear one after another. Before that, Guder had already blessed Tucker, Marcus, and Raymond Corey with the war song state. As for the priest Honey, this guy should protect himself now. Be ready to rescue teammates who are on the verge of death at any time. Tucker's two arcane shots accurately exploded on the pupils of the mountain giant bear. While the blood splashed, the mountain giant bear was injured. The severe damage to the eyes made the mountain giant bear blind. Tucker knew that for quasi-lord creatures like the mountain giant bear, they did not have fatal weaknesses. Blindness and blindness were only temporary. The powerful sequence power and blood power were enough for them to recover. But a period of blindness was enough. Marcus, who charged forward, was also brave enough. The collision position was the lower jaw of the mountain giant bear. Fortunately, the lower jaw of the mountain giant bear was injured, otherwise it would bite it, and no matter how strong the priest was, he would not be able to save it. At the same time as the arcane shot fell, Tucker raised his hand again. Buzz! The stimulated light-shaping spear quickly condensed under the chanting of the spell. However, this time Tucker did not attack immediately, but aimed at the mountain giant bear. The mountain giant bear had half of its body under the steep slope. The upper part was bearing the attacks of Marcus and Raymond Corey. In addition, it was blind, so it could only sense the breath of those guys. The anxious and angry mountain giant bear suddenly inhaled, and a yellowish halo quickly gathered on its body. Roar of the earth, the magical power of the mountain giant bear. The terrifying magical power that can shatter the mountains. Facing the upcoming roar of the earth, Marcus and Raymond Corey not only did not flee, but attacked more fiercely. Roar, the vein of roar of the earth, almost just escaped from the cracked corner of the mouth. A ray of extremely sharp light has already traced back along the vein and trajectory. It directly sank into the mouth of the mountain giant bear. Cut into the trajectory of the earth roaring magical power. Boom! A dull explosion, mixed with light, exploded from the mouth of the earth giant bear. The body of the mountain giant bear that cast earth roar trembled suddenly. Then the body that was like passing through a hill rolled down the steep rock wall. Until this time, roar, 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 the power of earth roar rolled all the way down with the rolling mountain giant bear. For a moment, the whole world was echoing the sound of earth roar. Chapter 90 Quasi-Lord, Fall. Roar, 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 the passionate roar of the earth swept across the world like a wave, and it was surging back and forth in the valley. At this time, looking at the mountain giant bear falling into the steep valley, everyone felt an uncontrollable ecstasy. Was that terrifying guy finally beaten down? This is really too difficult. At this time, the heavy knight Marcus, wearing heavy armor, could not see his expression. The berserker Raymond Corey, whose face was almost black, gradually regained a trace of blood and vitality. Just now, the sound and fluctuations of the roar of the earth were brewing on his forehead. Raymond Corey swore that it was definitely the closest time he was to the god of death. The god of death almost touched his head. Fortunately, the god of death passed him by. Tucker ordered before. Don't be afraid of the roar of the mountain giant bear. Just attack with all your strength to hinder that big guy. Leave everything else to me. Today's main point is the trust in Tucker. And Tucker did not disappoint the trust of Raymond Corey. The berserker sequence, the innate magical power, roar of the earth, was interrupted to a certain extent. Both of them were pulled back from the brink of death by Tucker. This guy's life is really amazing. Coming to the edge of the cliff, looking at the mountain giant bear in the valley, Tucker couldn't help but take a deep breath. Even if it was backfired by the power of the roar of the earth, it is still full of vitality. At the same time, Goodle also came to the edge of the steep cliff. He couldn't see Tucker as far away. But from the rocks, grass, bushes, thorny vegetation, and the wind blowing from the bottom of the valley, he could hear that although the giant bear was seriously injured and fell into the valley, its life breath was still very strong. That guy's bloodline is very strong. If this world is not too small, the ecology is not enough to accommodate powerful life forms, and the suppression of the Demon King sequence. I'm afraid we are not facing the leader, but the Lord. The priest Honey, who came out of the darkness, said from a distance. Indeed. Tucker smiled. That guy's bloodline is very strong, which is very helpful to us. Let's get started. Remember, don't pollute that guy's bloodline. Honey, who was about to raise his hand to use the blood to curse, laughed dumbly and then laughed at himself. If I can really pollute such a powerful bloodline power, then our team will probably have another core. As a priest, they lack enough direct and effective offensive means. But they have studied life more than any other extraordinary sequence. Curse spells are the core means to defeat the enemy. Blood curse. It is Honey's main research direction. For this leader creature with powerful bloodline power, with a certain amount of blood, he can complete a very strong blood curse. The cursed creatures will have their power weakened, their perception disordered, their defense reduced, and various negative characteristics appear in their blood. Collect blood quickly and set up a small altar at the speed of light. As the ritual spells were chanted, Honey began to increase the strength of the mountain giant bear. Anyone with some ability and means will prepare 1 or 2 spell rituals on their body in case of emergency. To be honest, spell rituals are indeed powerful. Anyone who uses them knows that they need to pay a price. Tucker thought secretly and withdrew his gaze from Honey, and then looked at Goodle. Goodle also set up a small altar neatly. He began to chant another spell ritual of natural imprisonment that he mastered. The valley is the best cage. These means are all prepared for this kind of powerful creatures. The injury of the mountain giant bear below will not heal for a while, and it has no intention of climbing up immediately. Then spend more time to make the effect of the blood curse and the ritual of the valley cage better play out. At the same time, if the big guy bleeds more, Tucker will be safer. As he approaches the second floor of the Demon King's tomb, the sense of danger has gradually lingered in Tucker's heart. Whether it is the investment of the Dark Sun Church or the possibility of encountering masters from other forces at any time, Tucker needs to make himself in a better state. Soon, the blood curse ritual took effect. The mountain giant bear kept roaring. Moreover, the power of the roar was not as strong as before, and it began to weaken. And Goodle's ritual made the valley more like a cage, imprisoning the mountain giant bear. It felt that the time was about right. Tucker jumped down the steep rock wall. At this time, Banov on the cliff saw Tucker falling and asked immediately, "Hey, Tucker, do you need help?" Tucker thought for a while and asked, "Can you skin it? It's no problem to make you a better fur coat." Banov smiled. "Then come with me. I may have to skin you later. Also, be careful." Understood. The nimble-footed Banov followed Tucker along the rock wall. He descended all the way to his effective casting range. At this time, the mountain giant bear, half lying in the valley, was breathing heavily. Blood had dyed the rock walls on both sides and the large rock under it red. The power of the curse ritual made its serious injury worse. Nightmare fire oil bombs. Tucker threw a few nightmare fire oil bombs at the mountain giant bear. The fire oil bombs instantly ignited the bloody fur of the mountain giant bear. The nightmare flame was very strange. The flame below was dark red, but the flame part would turn black, as weird as a nightmare. When the nightmare fire oil bomb burned the target, it would amplify the target's fear and destroy the opponent's will. But at this time, the nightmare fire oil bomb obviously did not play the role of destroying the target's will, but completely angered the opponent. Roar, roar, roar. The roaring mountain giant bear broke free from the constraints of the rock valley and climbed up the hillside. Feeling the rapid panting and roar approaching, Tucker moved silently. The shadow fits the darkness, with precise convergence and the interference of the curse. The blind mountain giant bear could not accurately locate Tucker at all. Bang! Bang! 2 consecutive slaps. Tucker's original position was shattered by the mountain giant bear's slaps. Tucker took the time to release 4 abyss bloodthirsty demon vines at the original location of the mountain giant bear. The roaring mountain giant bear sensed the target's breath and rolled and crawled towards the abyss bloodthirsty vines. Originally, Tucker thought that the abyss bloodthirsty vines could hold on for a while. As a result, they were torn into pieces in an instant in the hands of the mountain giant bear. At this time, the nightmare had a kerosene bomb, which was also extinguished by the mountain giant bear's violent shaking. After some attempts, Tucker took a deep breath and shook his head gently. Ordinary 1-star witchcraft, even if it is strengthened in all aspects, is basically difficult to fight against such a powerful existence as the Quasi-Lord, that is, the opponent is already injured. If you want to increase the strength of the opponent, you have to use 2-star witchcraft. Shaping light spear, Tucker began to concentrate on condensing the shaping light spear, constantly changing his position. Using the shaping light spear, he aimed at the eyes, ears, mouth, nose and other parts of the mountain giant bear. One after another, he shot it. The condensed shaping light spear is stronger and lasts longer. And the powerful precision makes the mountain giant bear have no room to dodge. As time goes on, the battle continues. Tucker almost smashed all the weak points of the mountain giant bear's eyes, ears, mouth and nose. But even so, the mountain giant bear still did not die, it was still resisting. The mountain giant bear's counterattack method also gave Tucker a headache. After several consecutive pursuits, the mountain giant bear couldn't find the target, so it simply slapped the rocks and used the scattered gravel to attack. Large pieces of gravel swept in densely. The power of each stone was stronger than Tucker's arcane shooting. The large stone was like a cannonball. Fortunately, Tucker was flexible enough. If it were other spellcasters who were not flexible enough and had poor evasion ability, want to output safely from a long distance? I'm afraid that a piece of gravel would fly over and kill him on the spot. The mountain giant bear did not think of escaping. Unfortunately, the valley had become a cage under the effect of the natural ritual. The blind mountain giant bear, no matter how he escaped, faced a towering and steep cliff. After more than 10 minutes, when Tucker's hundreds of light-shaping spears were almost full of the mountain giant bear's body, the mountain giant bear once again brewed the second, earth roar. Another trick? Tucker naturally would not indulge the opponent. Along with the cocky light, Tucker also completed the condensation of the excited state of the spear of shaping light. The desperate struggle, roar of the earth, accompanied the explosion of the spear of shaping light. It once again erupted in the mouth of the mountain giant bear. Part of the power was backfired on the mountain giant bear. It directly destroyed the lower jaw of the mountain giant bear. But even so, the innate magical power, roar of the earth, was still released, and the subsequent power swept the entire valley. Tucker was able to interrupt this innate magical power to a certain extent and backfire on the target. But it was impossible to completely contain it. Roar of the earth sounded again. The rocks of a large area of the mountain were shaken. Goodle, who used the ritual to build a cage in the valley, was shaken to vomit blood. Honey, who used blood donation to curse, was also backfired to a certain extent. Fortunately, as the roar ended, under Tucker's crazy scraping, the quasi-lord level mountain giant bear ushered in the end of his life. Chapter 91 Rich Spoils. At the bottom of the valley, light pushed open the darkness. The huge body of the mountain bear lay near the bottom of the valley. Blood flowed from the many wounds of the mountain bear, gathered into a stream. The team members scattered around the mountain bear. This guy's fur is as tough as alloy. Damn it, we agreed to skin him, but now we can't even break his defense. They won't laugh at me. Looking at the mountain bear in front of him, Banov, holding a dagger, was a little at a loss. It feels like a dream. How did Tucker kill this terrifying big guy? Even if this mountain bear was lying here and let me attack, I don't think I could kill this terrifying big guy. But, fortunately, that monster still killed it. Raymond Corey glanced at Tucker not far away. I'll definitely brag about it when I drink in the tavern next time. By the way, I'll ask that guy Banov to leave me a piece of bear skin so I can make a bear skin coat. No matter what, I'm also a man who survived the mouth of a mountain giant bear. Berserker Raymond Corey thought about it. Under Honey's command, Marcus used a vessel to collect the blood flowing from the mountain giant bear. On the other side, Goodle put one hand on the bear's back, listening to the last murmur and low roar of the mountain giant bear's death. Tucker sat on a stone not far away, recovering his source energy, spirit, and physical strength. He waited for the mountain giant bear to die completely and get a Lord-level extraordinary crystal condensed from its extraordinary sequence frame. Yes, the current mountain giant bear is still not dead. This boss battle. Fortunately, Tucker chose the time to stagger the creeping of the layer domain. If the creeping of the layer domain interfered with the ceremony of the two people, the mountain giant bear would cooperate with roar of the earth. Who knows, this guy might have escaped. During the battle, Tucker clearly felt that the mountain giant bear was intentionally looking for the point of convergence of the creeping layer. But Tucker didn't give the mountain giant bear a chance after all. During this period, I kept adding some original Dark Sea. The original Dark Sea source energy is about 7 times the basic source energy of my current 18th level wizard. This has consumed half of my total source energy. Ordinary wizards, no, Even if the arcane wizards of self-propelled artillery come over, let them bombard this mountain giant bear. Even if they consume all their source energy, they may not be able to kill this guy. I don't know how those powerful wizards, who traveled across the starry sea and arrived in the extraordinary foreign lands, or even in the world of other extraordinary intelligent creatures, hunt those lord-level creatures, even legendary lords and the like. The more information Tucker came into contact with in the tower, the clearer it was about the magic and magnificence of the extraordinary world outside. Wizards with long lifespans. Steam towers that can transform the world. Gods who collect faith and light the eternal divine fire. And the indescribable terrifying existence in the depths of the starry sky. Tucker naturally wanted to appreciate those magnificent and legendary epic paintings. Tucker was recovering. Buzz! A yellowish-brown light suddenly appeared on the mountain giant bear. Then the yellowish-brown light condensed on the mountain giant bear. The leader level, supernormal sequence characteristics of the mountain giant bear's sequence in bloodline power began to formally condense with the death of the mountain giant bear. This scene shocked Raymond Corey, who had just been called over to cut a bear skin, and Ivanov, and Marcus, who was holding the bear blood. Great, three-eye god, did this guy just die? The frightened Ivanov directly shouted out his belief. Raymond Corey shook the broadsword in his hand. I actually completed the live dissection of the mountain giant bear. Marcus, who was collecting the sticky blood of the mountain giant bear below, trembled slightly, and then turned to look at the priest Honey who was directing him to collect the blood, and said angrily, "Damn it, why didn't you tell me that this guy was still alive? Now, cough cough, now it's dead." Priest Honey's face was not very good. The backlash of the curse just now made him feel very uncomfortable. Immediately, Priest Honey asked, "How is the blood?" "There's still a lot. This guy is simply a blood bank." Cough cough. Priest Honey coughed heavily twice, and the black curse spots on his face had a tendency to expand. "Give me some first, I want to use his blood to eliminate the curse." "Be careful, the blood power of this mountain giant bear is at the quasi-lord level." The Captain Goodle spoke up to warn. "If we digest it well, it can improve our physical strength, physique, endurance, etc. to an amazing extent. It is equivalent to a small advancement of the physical body. But if we can't digest it, or if there is too much power left in the mountain giant bear, we will grow hair all over our body and turn into a bear. On a dark night, we may be completely deformed into a wild bear." "I know." Honey, who took the blood, didn't dare to drink more, so he only drank a small mouthful. Then a wild and boiling breath emerged from his body. Fortunately, Honey controlled it and began to digest the blood of the mountain giant bear. The most expensive thing about the mountain giant bear is undoubtedly its supernormal characteristic crystal with the power of the mountain giant bear bloodline and the supernormal leader. This is the top life promotion material. And this is obviously Tucker's, and no one in the team doubts this. In addition to the supernormal characteristic crystal, taking the blood of the mountain giant bear can complete a small transformation of the physical body. After all, this is a powerful bloodline of the quasi-lord level. But the effect of activating blood is the best. Blood that cannot be drunk will soon become dead blood. The effectiveness of dead blood is only 1/10 of that. But it can be packed and taken away. Just the blood production of this mountain giant bear. Everyone can make a fortune. There is also the fur of the mountain giant bear. Such a big piece, everyone has a share. Everyone joined forces and survived a near-death experience. These good things are all rewards. As everyone was busy, Tucker also got the supernormal crystal of the mountain giant bear. The cocky crystal, about the size of a fist, showed a mirror shape inside, and inside the mirror was the soul will of this leader mountain giant bear. When Tucker examined the supernormal crystal, the will of the mountain giant bear was also examining Tucker, and the feeling of indifference, resentment, and murderous intent came to his face. The will of the mountain giant bear had the greatest malice towards the hunter who killed him. Tucker smiled and stroked the cocky crystal. "If you like to watch, just watch for a while. Once you get out, you will have no chance." Tucker, who has a unique formula and alchemy method, will naturally not let the will of the mountain giant bear be left until he takes it. There is no crystal that cannot be solved by alchemy once. If there is, then refine it again. Quasi-lord level, life-type materials are in hand. Not to mention other things, this time the harvest of this mountain giant bear alone is amazing enough. This underground demon tomb is really a treasure. Tucker thought secretly. "Tucker, this is yours." Just after collecting the extraordinary crystal of the mountain giant bear, Goodle came over with a glass container like a fish tank. And it was filled with the blood of the mountain giant bear. Tucker's eyes twitched, and then waved his hand. I can't drink so much. 2 or 3 sips are enough. My body is not as strong as you think. Well, then you can drink this small bottle. I'll let Priest Honey seal the rest and share it with everyone when we go out. And the bear skin, it can be sold for a lot of money. I asked Banov to reserve 3 pieces of bear skin in the best position for you. Yes. Tucker nodded. The moment of digesting the spoils is undoubtedly wonderful. Tucker did not refuse this wonderful moment. He took a small bottle of giant bear mountain blood. Tucker felt it with his senses and confirmed that there was no problem before he drank it in one gulp. Then he began to absorb and strengthen the power of the mountain giant bear bloodline. Others also found time to drink the mountain giant bear's blood and digest the first wave of strengthening of the mountain giant bear's blood. This opportunity to drink the sticky blood of the Quasi-Lord directly. I'm afraid there will be few times in a lifetime. Chapter 92, Demon King Sequence Tree. About an hour later, Tucker slowly opened his eyes. At this time, the vial of mountain giant bear's blood had been digested by Tucker. Tucker carefully felt the effect of this transformation. A smile appeared on his lips. My strength has increased by about 40%, and my physique and endurance have increased by about 60%. It is indeed a transformation of the physical body, although it has no great effect on my witchcraft. But the increase in strength has also increased the upper limit of my speed of combining the physical body with the shadow state, and my reaction burst. Overall, it is a very good improvement. Tucker nodded with satisfaction. Compared with Tucker, Marcus, Banov, and Raymond Corey drank more blood, so the effect of the improvement was naturally stronger than that of Tucker and Pastor Honey. As for Goodle, as a fundamentalist of the vegetarian sect, he did not plan to take the bear blood directly. It is also possible to bring the bear blood back and exchange it for other equally powerful plant resources. After all, there are also many plant leaders and lords in the extraordinary world. As Tucker finished digesting, 3 large bear skins were folded and placed in front of him. Fortunately, Tucker had enough extraordinary storage bracelets in his hand to fit them. Otherwise, it would be difficult to carry. This time, I have to change to a larger extraordinary storage bracelet. After forcibly stuffing the bear skin in, Tucker breathed a sigh of relief. Marcus and Raymond Corey continued to peel the bear skin and collect bear blood here. Honey, Tucker and Banov followed Goodle and walked towards the bear cave on the ridge. The Demon King sequence tree in the bear cave is the real purpose of everyone this time. In the bear cave, Tucker took the lead. The original shaping light spear wick was replaced by the nightmare lantern wick by Tucker. The Demon King sequence from the dungeon world naturally has dark attributes. Shaping light spear will conflict with it. Switching to the nightmare lantern, the light from the nightmare oil bomb tends to be dark, so it's not a big deal. Soon, passing through the area where the giant bear sleeps. After going deeper inside for a distance, obscure, dark, dull, and oppressive atmosphere permeated. Tucker even heard a few chaotic whispers. Even the aperture of Tucker's nightmare lantern, which originally had a range of 10 meters, was compressed to about 3 meters. The Demon King sequence tree has arrived. Tucker looked around. The Demon King sequence tree is pitch black. The root trunk at the bottom is inserted into the earth layer domain, in a semi-condensed state and semi-illusory state. The dark golden texture veins flow slowly in the illusory and solid trunk. There are 3 forks above. The main branch should be the Demon King's tomb leading to the second layer, which is also immersed in the illusory layer domain dimension. The other 2 branches should be leading to other creeping layers and domains, forming a flow and exchange of extraordinary characteristics with other layers and domains. Its size is not small. The height alone is 10 meters, and the semi-illusory trunk is about 1 meter. And this is only a part of the Demon King sequence tree. This part is much larger than the Lamore Tower ecological sequence tree that Tucker had learned before. Moreover, it has a strong ability to suppress everything around it. This Demon King sequence ecological tree is really large. Feeling the breath and whispers of the Demon King coming from the darkness, Goodle couldn't help but sigh. After all, it is the Demon King sequence, the most powerful sequence that humans can contact, and it can be comparable to the angel sequence. It was Pastor Honey who responded. Even if the main body of the Demon King sequence in the darkness cannot be seen, But the clear and textured breath of the Demon King sequence allows everyone to feel the existence of the Demon King sequence. Carefully observing the extraordinary characteristics, life characteristics, and its unique vein properties flowing in the Demon King sequence, Tucker had a slight understanding in his heart. The sequence constructed by humans pays more attention to the crystallization of the sequence. Therefore, the extraordinary ecological tree of our human sequence is more solid, more like a physical tree that can be touched. It is only 3 or 4 meters high and has many branches. In this way, the corresponding sequence seeds can be born faster. For example, the Knight sequence tree gives birth to Knight sequence seeds. The Wizard sequence tree gives birth to Wizard seeds, etc. A stable and complete sequence tree is what our human race needs. But the Demon King sequence tree pays more attention to its own strength. The entire huge Demon King sequence tree should be scattered, gathering extraordinary characteristics and source energy from all directions, and infiltrating into the entire extraordinary ecology. So, the Demon King sequence tree is more like a stretched limb vein. It's like the relationship between the steam tower and the surrounding large number of lighthouse strongholds. Extraordinary ecology. The Demon King sequence itself is a powerful extraordinary ecology. At the same time, the Demon King sequence also has Lord characteristics. Although Tucker has learned knowledge in these areas, but only seeing it with his own eyes, perceiving it, and touching it, Tucker was able to understand all this more deeply and thoroughly. As Tucker unfolded his precise vision, the vast world veins in the Demon King sequence tree continued to emerge in Tucker's perception. It highlighted a very high information content. Do you want to try to touch the perception? Tucker thought about it for a while and threw this suicidal idea out of his mind. If he tried it, he would probably die on the spot. Just the presentation of this part of the Demon King sequence here has cultivated such a terrifying existence of the quasi-lord level. If you touch the terrifying Demon King tree yourself, there may be strange things pouring into your soul. After all, this is the Demon King sealed by the wizards hundreds of years ago. By then, when you have problems, it may be too late to regret. Tucker rejected the temptation of shortcuts. After all, no one knows what kind of painful price they will pay. Through observation, summary, learning, and induction, we can master the laws of nature and the characteristics of the extraordinary ecology. This is the way for wizards to understand the world. Instead of using touch perception to touch everything, touch perception allows me to perceive and touch the world more carefully, rather than a way to commit suicide. Through my own ability to accurately perceive the veins of the world, I can also dig deep into the essential characteristics of the Demon King sequence. While Tucker was thinking, Goodle on the side had already found a position close to the Demon King sequence tree, ready to observe and feel this powerful Demon King sequence knowledge. The same was true for Priest Honey. For the magic supernatural, it is a very rare opportunity to perceive, observe, and understand the powerful Demon King sequence tree. You know, this area supports the establishment of the Demon King sequence tree. In other words, this area is operating the extraordinary ecology in the purest way and rules. Whether it is to build your own extraordinary steam tower in the future, or the operation method of your own steam wizard ecology in the future, it can serve as a reference. This is a rare opportunity to precipitate and verify the knowledge system of supernatural science. Tucker also sat down on the side. He opened his precise vision to the greatest extent possible to observe, feel, and understand the Demon King tree. The operation trajectory of supernatural characteristics. The stable mode of the Demon King sequence ecology. The framework structure of the regional ecology. And the peristaltic coordination with other layers. The ready-made template is right in front of Tucker. Compared with a real trophy such as the mountain giant bear, the Demon King sequence tree that explains the essence of the Demon King in front of him. Obviously, it is more valuable. Otherwise, the strong men of several major forces would not have listed the Demon King sequence tree as the core of this entry. When the three people understood and sensed the Demon King sequence tree, Banav also started his work to pass on the Demon King characteristics contained in the Demon King sequence tree. This is his core task to enter. Soon, the small altar was built. With Banav's chanting, the connection between the altar and the Lamore steam tower was quietly established. A large number of veins of the Lamore steam tower in Tucker's time penetrated in the rising mist. Then he began to absorb the Demon King sequence tree. This kind of tough absorption is bound to destroy the Demon King sequence. But Lamore is going to do this. If it is not destroyed, Will it be left to the Dark Sun Church to strengthen their strength, absorb the characteristics of the Demon King sequence, or even completely destroy the Demon King sequence? This is the true purpose of the Lamore Tower and the many teams entering it. Tucker and others want to absorb as much knowledge about the Demon King sequence as possible before the Demon King sequence collapses in front of them. Tucker is not sure about the speed at which the other two people absorb and digest the Demon King sequence knowledge information system. But at this time, relying on the powerful and precise veins, Tucker is frantically digging out a large number of ecological essential characteristics presented by the Demon King tree, and absorb, store, and digest in the form of knowledge veins. Chapter 93 Dark Sun. Boom boom. The layer domain completed its creeping again. The world just started to shake slightly, and soon, the shaking became violent. A lot of gravel fell. In the cave, several magic sequences have shield-like means. It is not so bad that they are hit by stones. Marcus, wearing a heavy helmet, the armor was hit and clanged, but he stood still. Banav regarded the creeping of the layer domain and the time when the world was shaking and the gravel fell as the note for practicing wind shadow step. The only one injured was Raymond Corey. Stones fell on his hut from time to time, making a thumping sound, which made his anger value rise. This time the world shook for a longer time than any other time. It took 5 or 6 minutes before it gradually stopped. Even the Demon King sequence also seemed a little unstable in the shaking of the world. 2 days and 2 nights. Tucker and others have been staying by the Demon King sequence tree for 2 days and 2 nights. During this period, Marcus and Raymond, who had collected bear blood and bear skin, even had a meal of roasted bear meat. As time went on, the Demon King sequence tree began to become unstable. Because, after many teams found suitable locations, they all began to dig into the corners of the Demon King sequence. Of course, there was another layer of relationship. The relationship that the strong men of Lamore did not point out was that the Dark Sun Church's infiltration into the inner world of the Demon King's sealed gate also led to the instability of the Demon King sequence. Tucker had already felt it. The power of the Dark Sun and the ashes of the Dark Tide were infiltrating this Demon King's tomb world. And in this mountain giant bear layer domain small world where Tucker was located, there was also the power of the Dark Sun Church. All the entrants had been frantically gnawing at the corpse of the Demon King, who had been sealed here for many years and had died in the past few days. It was already very good that the Demon King sequence tree could persist without collapsing. At this time, next to the Demon King sequence tree, inhale, inhale. A long breath. Tucker looked up at the Demon King sequence tree, stared at it for a moment, then looked back up again. 2 days, plus today's half day. Tucker borrowed the powerful SSS level, precision, correction, and his own unique knowledge veins. Tucker has almost recorded and stored the trajectory, veins, and laws of the operation of the Demon King sequence tree. Although most of it is not understood, it is already amazing to be able to record the veins and trajectory of the Demon King sequence tree by just using the veins. After all, this is the essential operating rule of the Demon King sequence tree. In the future, when I have time, I can slowly explore, verify, learn, etc. These things will become the foundation and basis for me to become bigger and stronger and create more glory on the road of wizards. Tucker stood up and gradually looked at his teammates. Tucker spoke slowly. It's almost time. I plan to go outside and take a look. Maybe I can even go to other layers to pick up some leaks. The sitting, ranger, Goodle and priest, Honey also opened their eyes and looked at Tucker. Goodle took a deep breath and said, "Then you should be careful. You should be careful too. After all, our team has exceeded the mission. If there is any danger, you should leave here as soon as possible. The current Demon King's tomb is already very unsafe. The task given by the higher-ups is to anchor for 1 day and 1 night in the Demon King sequence characteristic area and absorb the Demon King's characteristics. And everyone anchored for 2 days and 2 nights at the edge of the very strong Demon King sequence tree. After exceeding the mission, the reward will naturally be more generous after returning." Tucker heard Raymond Corey privately inform everyone, "This time when we go back, everyone can choose the 2-star rune extraordinary ability seeds that suit them." Glancing at the Demon King sequence tree that could not hold on for too long and would collapse, Goodle nodded. "We understand that if the environment here does not allow, we will not force it." He walked out of the cave alone with the nightmare lantern. Feeling the slight darkness of the world around him, Tucker let out a long sigh, and a little bloody smile appeared on his face. Although this creeping tomb layer is not very stable. But it's not too late to start real exploration and hunting now. In addition, Tucker's eyes condensed slightly, and there was a faint glimmer of fierceness. After waiting for these few days, the steady development system finally refreshed the opportunity to re-anchor a new area. Now, as long as we touch the second level of the Demon King, we can do a quick sweep again. I don't know what good things we can get from the second level of the Demon King's tomb. The sweep of this first level and the development of more than 2 months have already benefited me a lot. The second level will probably not let me down. But Tucker let out more breath and swept his eyes across the depths of darkness. Before that, let's get rid of those annoying eyes. Immediately, Tucker passed through like a shadow and disappeared directly into the darkness. At the same time, in the depths of darkness, a little bell demon with a pair of bat wings and a fist-sized eyeball in the middle was searching for Tucker's figure with its eyes that could see through the darkness. "Are you looking for me?" A slight voice sounded behind the little demon bell. The frightened little bell demon flapped its wings quickly, trying to escape from danger. But the whirlwind around it trapped it firmly in it. Several shadow tentacles twisted and penetrated. Hiss, hiss, the tip of the tentacle pierced the little bell demon like a steel needle. The struggling little bell demon expanded rapidly. Then with a bang, it exploded into bloody flesh and mud. It's quite alert. It realized that I wanted to reverse infiltrate him, so it exploded immediately. It seems that the guy sent in by the Dark Sun Church is not small. Tucker's mouth curled up a little smile. At this moment, the bloody flesh and mud in the whirlwind quickly gathered and adhered, forming a blurred bloody face. "Who are you?" The voice was a little unreal, and the strange veins transmitted at the same time were extremely high in Dark Sun. Me. Tucker, who used the shadow state to cling to the rock wall, looked at the other party with interest. After thinking carefully, Tucker responded lightly. "I think I am probably the gravedigger of the Dark Sun Church, the witness of the twilight of the evil god Dark Sun." The veins in the whirlwind were also startled. Intermittent voices sounded. "Tucker. Do you know my name?" Tucker raised his eyebrows slightly. "It seems that some of my previous actions have touched the soul of your Dark Sun Church." As the Dark Sun veins stabilized, the flesh and blood face became more solid and materialized. "Yes, I have heard your name. Even. I know that you are one of my containers. But your talent is too weak, and you are not qualified to be my first-ranked container." Container? Tucker's eyes condensed slightly. A large amount of information gathered in his mind, and finally a detailed result was materialized. The Dark Sun Church attacked the Demon King's tomb for a purpose, but I didn't expect that the purpose was here. "Are you the Dark Sun Saint, son of the Dark Sun Church? The descendant of the terrifying Dark Sun evil god?" Some time ago, the Steam Daily of the Principality of Syrian spent an entire panel to report your story. Tucker examined the flesh and blood face. And the flesh and blood face also examined Tucker quietly. Then the flesh and blood face said lightly, "You are quite alert to be able to discover my insight." After all, the so-called geniuses of Saint Lander didn't discover it either. Lamor's fall is already doomed, and Saint Lander will fall into the Dark Sun dimension in the near future. If you serve me, you will have the authority to control the shadow. Tucker seemed to ignore the other party's explanation and even interrupted him directly. "You should just use the altar to sacrifice and then project it here, right? Your real body obviously didn't come here, otherwise it would be a complete waste." No answer. That's considered as tacit consent. Tucker smiled. "To sum up, the altar you projected should be on the second floor of the Demon King, or at the entrance to the second floor, and it can't move, right? What do you want to say?" The Dark Sun Saint asked slowly and lowly. "What do you want to say?" Tucker showed an expression that I am very interested in you. Before, Dark Sun polluted me. I just wondered if I could pollute Dark Sun or something like that. Since the projection of the saint is here, then this trip to the Demon King's tomb will be very interesting. Okay, wait quietly at the entrance of the Demon King's tomb. I will prepare a great gift for you. A great gift that you will never forget. As soon as the voice fell, Tucker pinched it suddenly. The wind whirlwind instantly gathered and crushed the face of the projection of the Dark Sun Church Saint. Then the flames containing light burned and purified it. Great gift. The cold, burly, and indifferent illusory figure condensed on the altar. And around them were the bodies of 7 or 8 fanatical Dark Sun believers who took the initiative to enter and sacrifice their lives. The projection on the altar looked into the depths of darkness, as if to see where Tucker was. After a moment, the illusory figure lowered his head and murmured, "I vaguely smell the smell of stupidity, arrogance, and conceit. There are always people who think they can challenge the great dark sun, but in the end they will all turn to ashes." Chapter 94. Rumble. The world began to shake again. Hoo. Panting heavily, Blank tried to hide under the thick branches under the big tree. He hoped that the falling stones would avoid him. In this way, he could recover from his injuries better. Now Blank has lost the elegance and calmness of the extraordinary swordsman in the past. Genius swordsman does not fit his embarrassed appearance at all. The fugitive swordsman wandering around the world is the true portrayal. He tore open a healing scroll, and the green light slowly flowed into his body, recovering his injuries. Not long after, footsteps sounded in the darkness. Clang. The sword was unsheathed, and the sharp intention rang softly. "It's me." Tucker's voice came from the darkness. "I'm not sure whether you are here to cooperate or to kill me." Blank looked at the darkness. His eyes were particularly bright. The next moment, Blank felt that the world was expanding again. No. He was shrinking himself. He opened his mouth. "Baa." The sound of sheep followed. "If I were here to take your life, you would be dead." Tucker, holding a lantern with a strange red and black light, broke into his field of vision. Tucker waved his hand and lifted the sheep transformation skill of Blang. Blang looked at Tucker deeply for a moment, and then sheathed the extraordinary long sword. Even if he was injured, the power and stability of the swordsman's extraordinary ecology were still there. Ordinary wizards could not turn him into a sheep. Even if he turned into a sheep, he could resist. But Tucker's sheep transformation skill quietly penetrated the framework of his extraordinary swordsman ecology, and when he reacted, it was too late. The opponent's sheep transformation skill was particularly strange and powerful. How did you become like this?" Tucker looked up and down at Blang, who was half covered in blood and had messy clothes. "Gerald teamed up with that guy named Philly Blow from your lawnmower." Sitting back up and recovering, Blank took a deep breath and began to tell the story. "Gerald." Tucker suddenly realized. "Gerald is one of your friends." "Yes, that's why I was so seriously injured." Blank's tone was a little cold. "Some things can only be fully understood after experiencing them. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been chased by them for 2 levels. At this time, Blank was holding the sword in one hand even when he was healing. "And I don't know if they are chasing us. If you can, help me be alert to the surroundings." Tucker raised his head, glanced around and shook his head. "They shouldn't be chasing us. Are you looking too quickly? I used to believe in my intuition and insight, but sometimes intuition can be deceiving." Blank, who had suffered a blood loss and almost died here, was extra careful. "Trust me." Tucker's tone was as calm as the deep ocean. "From the beginning to the end, I have been observing this world in detail. If they appear around here, I will see them at the first time. I can see which world they are in now, after all." Tucker raised his head and looked at the sky. "The world here is really small. Otherwise, how do you think I found you?" Tucker's words shocked Blank's heart. He was highly nervous and ignored a fatal problem. That is, how can Tucker find him accurately? In this dark, foggy, and constantly creeping maze of the Demon King's tomb, it is too difficult to find a person. "How long will it take you to recover?" Tucker asked slowly. "Half an hour is enough." "Well, when you recover, we kill back." Tucker's eyes narrowed slightly. "That guy named Philly Blow is very problematic." In the empty, dark wasteland, a bloodthirsty bull leader as big as a hill was frantically chasing a source warrior holding a battle axe. The bloodthirsty bull leader had no idea how many times he had knocked the damn energy warrior flying. But the energy warrior was like an indestructible cockroach, always able to get up again after rolling several times. And the provocation of the energy warrior was constantly irritating the bloodthirsty bull leader. He had already lost his mind. Even if the damn wizard behind him kept attacking him, the bloodthirsty bull leader, who had completely lost his mind, ignored him. He now had only one goal, which was to kill the damn energy warrior before the next round of creeping of the lair arrived. Finally, with a boom, the bloodthirsty bull leader fell to the ground under the bombardment of a large number of witchcrafts, dying. "I'm so tired. This bull has been chasing me for almost an hour." Sitting on the ground, Gerard, with a pale face and shaking legs, gasped for breath and took out a drink and drank it in big gulps. And Philiblo looked at this powerful leader, or the spoils of war, with a little greed. The bloodthirsty wild bull leader was born a blood bull, and his extraordinary sequence crystals could be used as life materials. After alchemy, they could also be used as source energy materials. They were one of the best materials for wizards to advance. Looking at Gerald, who had drunk the wine, Philiblo attacked without hesitation. The arc blade first sizzled. In an instant, it was maximized and enveloped Gerald. But Gerald rolled nimbly to avoid the witchcraft attack, and the wine bag was covered by the witchcraft and torn to pieces. The next moment, Gerald, with a burly body, strode forward. On the axe, the blue extraordinary sharp edge, swallowing and surging, swept with extremely amazing power. Fatigue and fatigue were just disguises. Philiblo kept his strength, and so did he. The wizard and warrior who had just joined forces to fight side by side. Deep in this dark and desolate wasteland, they turned against each other and started fighting. At the same time, rumble. The world began to shake. The creeping of the domain swept over. Along with the creeping of the domain. In the wasteland, a human-faced stone statue formation. Two people walked out one after the other. The first one to come was Blang, who had recovered from his injuries. At this time, Blang lost a bit of the arrogance of the extraordinary genius swordsman in the past, and became more indifferent and calm. Unforgettable experience always makes people grow faster. Are they both in this wasteland domain? Blang raised the nightmare lantern in his hand as high as possible. But all he saw was the cold night. Yes. Tucker nodded. This direction. Blang turned the lantern to a direction following Tucker's gaze. No. I found a very interesting place in this direction. Tucker looked at the darkness in front of him and said with interest. Then Tucker glanced at Blang, who was very eager for revenge. They are in another direction. But, the layer just moved, and the two of them are still fighting. They can't run away for a while. Getting involved now will only make them turn their firepower to you immediately. That Philiblo is very strange. You may not be able to beat him, let alone the two of them working together. At the right time and place, cut into the battle, clean up the mess, pick up the heads, and become the final winner of this wave of team battles. Isn't it good? Tucker's words made Blang a little tempted. After all, if you do it according to Tucker's method, not only can you kill people, but you can also break their hearts. The enemy's defense is broken before he dies, which can definitely make people happy for a whole year. Suppressing the murderous intent in his heart, Blang looked at Tucker. Let's go and see your interesting place. The good place Tucker mentioned is very close. It's only 100 meters away. This is a large pit that is not steep. Strangely, the bottom of the pit and the slope are all large blocks of condensed hexagonal earth and stone blocks. Moreover, very rich source energy was surging in it. Source energy nest. The hub of energy gathering. Blang raised his eyebrows. The source energy is very abundant. If we can occupy this place for a long time, this is definitely the perfect place to build a tower. But unfortunately, we are just passing by. This place doesn't mean much to us. That may not be the case. At this time, Tucker smiled but said nothing. This place where source energy is extremely concentrated is a perfect place for rapid development. Immediately, Tucker stepped into it. The wind whirlpool gathered around Tucker. The long-lost system prompt sounded in Tucker's ears. Ling. The current environment is detected to be full of source energy, and it is about to enter the rapid development state. The information of the development log gradually appeared. Ling. Gain 1.5 source energy experience. Ling. Gain 1.5 source energy experience. Feeling the long-lost development time, Tucker breathed a sigh of relief. The energy experience gained here is quite abundant. Even more than when I received the energy baptism at the steam tower. At the steam tower, I used the veins to touch, and did not formally enter the energy-rich environment. The subsequent baptism was also precise drip irrigation, and the energy around was not abundant. And when I really entered the energy-rich environment, the efficiency of gaining energy experience is quite amazing. Just as Tucker was thinking about how much time he could spare to absorb energy experience here, a special prompt responded, causing Tucker's heart to tremble suddenly. Ling. Demon King Magic Fragment 1. Demon King Magic? The legendary Demon King magic of the Dungeon Demon? This can also be produced? For a moment, Tucker was like a sculpture, quietly examining the new product of the system. Chapter 95, Magical Powers. Before. Scooter led the team, and the team joined forces to fight against a quasi-lord-level mountain giant bear. If Tucker had not relied on his SSS-level talent to accurately grasp the mountain giant bear's innate magical powers, relying on the terrain to catch the mountain giant bear off guard, once the Lord magical power of Roar of the Earth swept everyone, at least half of the 6-man team would be killed on the spot. Those who survived would also be seriously disabled. After all, that is the power of magic power, one of the most incredible powers in the extraordinary world. Tucker estimated that the reason why so many strong people like Lamore and Saint Land collected the sequence characteristics of the Demon King. One possibility is to study the magic power contained in the Demon King sequence. And magic power is also one of the research topics of many extraordinary academies. But no human extraordinary has ever mastered any magic power. At least with Tucker's shallow knowledge system, no human extraordinary can master this kind of powerful ability. Only those families with special bloodlines have special bloodline abilities and alike. Magic power, obviously, it is not a power that can be easily mastered by human extraordinary people. At this time, in the lair deep in the Demon King's tomb, at the location of a seemingly inconspicuous source energy hub, an extremely rare product that Tucker did not expect was born, the Demon King's magical power fragment. This allows Tucker to stably obtain the legendary, powerful Dungeon Demon King's exclusive magical power. When the second Demon King's magical power fragment prompt sounded, Tucker quickly gathered his thoughts. The appearance of this Demon King's magical power fragment shocked Tucker, who had been in the battlefield for a while. It is worthy of being a stable development system. When it grows up, it stands out for stability, accuracy and ruthlessness. Things as rare as the Demon King's magical power can be developed. Tucker's eyes condensed slightly, and he looked around and quickly analyzed it. This is not just a source energy hub. After all, a simple energy hub only provides source energy experience. In addition to being a source energy hub, this is also the place where the Demon King sequence tree is manifested. It's just that the Demon King sequence tree presented here happens to overlap with the source energy hub. It is unstable because it has been in a state of erosion for many years. As the Demon King sequence tree loosens, it has collapsed one step ahead of time. But there is still the vein power of the Demon King sequence tree here. Therefore, entering the rapid development state here just happens to get extra Demon King magical fragments. In essence, this is the development gain anchored on the Demon King sequence tree. But Tucker looked around. The layer domain here is not stable, and it is obviously impossible to anchor the stable development system here. The best way is to find the place where the Demon King fell and anchor the system there for a long time. Tucker looked at the darkness around him and the veins in the distance where fierce battles were taking place. However, before that, it would be great to develop here secretly and accumulate more experience in far energy. The energy hub here is unstable with the world, and the concentration of energy cannot be guaranteed. If you develop in your spare time, you will suffer a loss. What's more, there are fragments of the magic power of the Demon King here. Let's take a look at the specific effects of this fragment of the magic power of the Demon King and how to use it. Tucker immediately clicked on the details of the fragment of the magic power of the Demon King. Woo woo woo. In the energy hub, the wind whirlpool around Tucker rose up. Such a strange scene made Blang unable to hide his inner surprise. You know, even the steam tower can't absorb energy at such a high speed as Tucker. The steam tower will also pass through the deflector, screen, separate, purify and refine the energy layer by layer. And Tucker collects the energy into a whirlpool and swallows it in large quantities. It's like I don't care what kind of energy you are, I will swallow it if you come. This is not something that a normal extraordinary person can bear. But is Tucker a normal supernatural being? As soon as this thought came out, Blanc was relieved. Yes, this freak Tucker is not normal, and even more unscientific. You know, as humans enter the era of STEAM supernatural science, the essence of the world is gradually being excavated. The world has rules and will follow the principles of supernatural science. However, many of the knowledge and information about wizards he learned in the St. Land Tower Academy are completely inapplicable to Tucker. He has never seen a wizard devour source energy like this. If other wizards devour source energy like Tucker, I'm afraid the grass on their graves would have been 2 feet high. Tucker is a completely unscientific wizard. Tucker is too outrageous. Blanc couldn't help shaking his head. Forget it, Tucker will definitely go to St. Land for further studies in the future. Even if he doesn't want to go, the strong man in the Lamore Tower will force him to go. There will be plenty of time to contact this kid in the future. While thinking, Blanc also entered the source energy hub and began to absorb source energy. Although he was not as good as Tucker in swallowing up the energy, he would absorb as much as he could. Cultivation was to accumulate it bit by bit, and then polish and penetrate it repeatedly. Only then could he achieve a better effect of penetrating the extraordinary ecology. While cultivating, Blanc was thinking. When the steam age was just being developed, it was still the era of low-level extraordinary steam engines that used coal mine heat sources and water-based steam. Once you become a first-level wizard, you are qualified to explore the outside world. But in today's era, steam airships travel around the world, and the great spirit of steam and rails has built a spiritual steam train, which has built great star tracks at the end of the ocean and the edge of the world, running through a large number of mysterious extraordinary worlds. Now, if you are not level 40, it's a waste to take a spiritual steam train to travel to other extraordinary worlds. I remember that many worlds would rob passengers on the spiritual steam train. Some want money but not lives. Some want lives but not money. Others want everything, not even leaving any bones behind. Not to mention other extraordinary worlds, even the East continent across the way is not something I can go to at my level. It is said that the tribes on the Moros Prairie on the East continent like to keep strange extraordinary creatures such as the Forbidden Magic Stone Colossus in captivity. This kind of Forbidden Magic Stone statue is the nemesis of spellcasters. It is said that many nobles who went to the East continent to expand their territory had their heads smashed by those Forbidden Magic Stone giants. Anyway, Tucker's strength is outrageous. We can cooperate in the future and go to other extraordinary worlds to explore completely different sequences and ecosystems. At present, he is still a friend who can be deeply befriended. I can't be completely sure that he is a friend who can be deeply befriended until I leave the Demon King's tomb safely. In the past, Blanc didn't know what a life and death friendship was like. But now, he knows and has experienced it. As for Tucker's incredible appearance and form now, he will not easily reveal a single bit. After carefully reading the characteristics of the Demon King's magical power, Tucker breathed a sigh of relief. Phase walking. This is the Demon King's magical power that Tucker has currently obtained through the system. And this, phase walking, is also the only magic power ability of the Grey Mirror Demon King Mephisto who fell here. Tucker has no choice now even if he wants to. In fact, Tucker didn't need to choose at all, because this, phase walking, is one of the most powerful abilities that Tucker needs most urgently. The reason why Tucker chose the Shadow Wand was mainly because of its mobility. The movement of the Shadow Wand is indeed flexible and clever. But compared with the magic power of the Demon King, phase walking, it is a small matter. For example, when blocked by light, the shadow can't travel. When the world shakes and the domain is unstable, the shadow can't travel. Even in some special dimensions, the shadow can't travel. But the Demon King's magic power, phase walking, is extremely high. The above means that can block the shadow's travel. In front of phase walking, it is simply a child's play. It cannot become a condition that hinders phase walking. Even jumping, walking, and traveling between domains are as smooth and natural as breathing for phase walking. Many dreams, spirit worlds, mirror worlds, magical realms, and other forms of imprisonment, entrapment, and disturbance can hardly limit the ability to phase walk. The means of traveling through the world, phase walking, can be said to be one of the top means in the extraordinary world. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, Supernatural Power is in Hand. Leave if you want. With 10 fragments, I can initially condense the Demon King's magical powers. But the phase walking, condensed from 10 fragments is the most basic and weakest type. The distance of a single walk, the intensity of the walk, and the ability to pass through obstacles are not strong. With 20 fragments, a slightly stronger phase walking can be condensed. The phase walking of 50 fragments is already very strong. And the phase walking accumulated from 100 fragments is a complete phase walking. But Tucker let out a sigh of relief as he quietly felt the source energy experience that was constantly being absorbed, as well as the fragments of the Demon King's magical powers drawn from the unstable Demon King sequence tree. Even after 100 full fragments, the overall strength of Phase Walk can still be improved through system points. That is to say, as long as I anchor the second level of the Demon King's tomb, then I can obtain Phase Walk that exceeds the original strength of the Demon King's magical power. But then again, my steady development system, its own characteristics, is not the same. The source energy experience gained from basic development can improve my level, the Dark Sea of Origin, wizard ability, and witchcraft in all aspects. I can easily improve the details that others find difficult to improve. Not to mention the talent fragments, SY level has transformed into the current SSS level. The strength of my own strength is currently mostly supported by my extraordinary talent. Now, finally there is another means to increase my height and the strength of the enemy. His eyes examined the fragments carrying the Demon King's magical power, Phase Walk. Tucker gathered his mind and quietly hid here to develop quickly and low-key. About half an hour later, woo-woo, the source energy whirlwind gradually dissipated. At this time, the system also ended the rapid development state. Tucker carefully felt the surrounding energy veins and roughly memorized the energy concentration. Rapid development requires a certain energy concentration to be triggered. When the energy concentration is lower than a certain concentration threshold, the rapid development will end. The energy concentration around the rapid development node that ended this time is obviously still very high. Obviously, as my level increases, the energy concentration threshold of this rapid development is also increasing. Rapid development is obviously a rapid supplement for low-level extraordinary people. But there is obviously a small bug here. That is, I can hold the level. Tucker was still pondering the credibility of it. For example, I went to a certain source energy tower with extremely abundant energy. My level happened to be relatively low, so I could obtain a large amount of source energy experience for a long time there, and even obtain more talent fragments. However, the efficiency of the system in absorbing source energy is still amazing. It's okay to pluck it once or twice occasionally. If I catch a tower and pluck it hard for a long time, the tower that is plucked will definitely find me and even hunt me down. And the natural environment state. Tucker looked at the source energy around him. The natural environment state itself cannot provide a large amount of stored source energy. Basically, it is a situation where the source energy concentration in this small area is high. Rapid development is essentially an additional supplement and harvest. Real development still depends on the regional anchoring of the robust development system. After anchoring an area, the absorption of the area is basically very weak and will not interfere with the normal operation of the area at all. As long as the area is not destroyed, it can develop to the end of time, highlighting a sustainable development. Open the system. Demon King Magic Fragments. 18 pieces. After half an hour of rapid development, Tucker harvested 18 Demon King magical power fragments. After a moment of scrutiny, Tucker directly clicked on synthesis. Anyway, he could add more points later, so there was no need to wait for 100 fragments to synthesize. 10 Demon King magical power fragments were consumed. In the grid of the reserve system resources, an object with a black halo and carrying the Demon King magical power, Phase Walking, appeared. Use. The black halo object quickly flowed into Tucker's wizard sequence ecology. But what surprised Tucker was that originally in Tucker's study, the Demon King magical power should be presented on the sequence tree. It belongs to the sequence state of ability. But at this time, the Demon King magical power, Phase Walking, is indeed presented on Tucker's wizard sequence tree. But there is no obvious connection with the wizard ecology tree. The wizard ecology tree is located at the core of the ecology. And the Demon King sequence magical power is also located at the core of the ecology. It looks like magic power is a fruit on the wizard sequence tree. In fact, it is just an overlap of sequence states. The essence of the two is parallel. As Tucker opened the attribute panel, the system's presentation also proved Tucker's inference. Supernatural sequence, wizard, level 18. Origin Dark Sea, level 18, supernatural power, Phase Walking, level 1. The magic power of the devil is listed separately and presents the state of supernatural power in Tucker's ecology. After examining it for a moment, Tucker nodded. The strength of magic power itself is ridiculously strong. Whether it is divided into the ability category or the witchcraft category, it is wrong. And the magic power is not restricted by the forbidden magic state. It is correct to have a separate magic power ecology. While thinking, Tucker carefully felt the magic power he had just mastered, phase walking. The consumption of phase walking is the magic power energy stored by itself. The distance and intensity of walking are limited by the level and the strength of itself, the number of fragments. Thinking this way, Tucker's eyes condensed slightly. However, source energy experience can still upgrade the magic power. That's easy. With the investment of source energy experience, the level of phase walking increased rapidly. Level 2. Level 3. Level 8. Level 9. Not long after, phase walking reached level 9. Well, let's get used to it first. Immediately, Tucker took a step, and his figure flashed, and he had left the original place and appeared more than 20 meters away. Well, as I walked, I felt the layer domain more clearly. I can stay in the depths of the layer domain for a while to a certain extent. Continue. Tucker took another step and disappeared more than 20 meters away. At the same time, Blank, who was sitting cross-legged at the bottom of the source energy pit, slowly opened his eyes and looked at the direction where Tucker left. He was not surprised about why Tucker left. But Tucker's walking just now didn't seem to be shadow walking. He had seen Tucker's shadow walking method before. Such methods of wizards are indeed enviable. But shadow walking requires entering the shadow state. And just now, Tucker didn't seem to have entered the shadow state at all. Without the shadow state, can you still walk? After a moment of thinking, Brank swallowed and breathed in the source energy, muttering in a low voice. This wizard is not scientific. Who? On the desolate and cold wasteland, Gerard lay on the ground and gasped. He turned sideways and looked at the dark earth. The edge of the vision opened up by clairvoyance was more than 20 meters away from him. One of his arms was quietly in a pool of blood. Moreover, the effect of clairvoyance was dissipating, and his vision began to be compressed. Damn profiteer, didn't he say that the effect of this clairvoyance can last for 2 hours? It will dissipate in just 1 hour, cough cough cough. In the violent coughing, the blood stained the vision red. SHH. A flash of sword light lit up. Gerard felt his head flying up. After falling to the ground and rolling a few times, he saw the cold face that he once envied and was helpless. Half a day ago, he almost killed the other party. And now, that guy is back. As Gerard's head was blasted off by a sword, Philip Rowe, who was sitting on the ground not far away and drinking energy potion to replenish energy, who thought he was a winner in life, suddenly raised his head. His pupils reflected the trace of worry in his heart. The famous extraordinary swordsman genius Blank of St. Land, who was chased by the two of them before. He came back in perfect condition. And the opponent's entry point was particularly tricky. He came when he had just finished a fight and was at his weakest. He even felt a little desperate in his heart. Really, what you fear will come. Philip Rowe used the magic net to carefully feel the surroundings. When he confirmed that the opponent was only one person, he slowly stood up. The remaining energy was not much, but he could recover while fighting. He just outlasted Gerard, a genius of St. Land. There is no problem in outlasting another genius. After all, no one knows that his physical strength and endurance are not inferior to the knights of the same sequence. Fierce battle. He is professional. Chapter 97. The Dark Sun Rises. The cold and dark wasteland. The prelude to the wheel battle slowly opened. The shadow tentacles held the nightmare lantern, illuminating the surrounding area of 7 to 8 meters. After some adaptation, casting, adding points and strengthening, Tucker initially explored the many characteristics of the powerful magic power of phase walking. First of all, it can be confirmed that the ability of phase walking is indeed very strong. Obstacles that are difficult to cross with shadow walking can basically be ignored in front of phase walking. Shadow walking also requires the consumption of source energy and is activated by using shadow spells. And phase walking is a self-contained system. It does not require any external power at all. As long as the energy of your own magical power is sufficient, you can walk however you want. With my source energy experience points, the energy reserve of phase walking's magical power is also deeply expanded. The original Dark Sea will invest a part of source energy every day. This time, the magical power energy of phase walking also needs to be developed on a daily basis. After all, the more magical power energy, the farther you can go. I have the ability to see through the world's veins, and with this phase walking. In terms of my own safety, I have once again taken a huge step up. Thinking this way, Tucker's mouth curled up a little smile. His eyes looked around the dark tomb. I got rich thanks to this Demon King's tomb. However, even if you have such a powerful Demon King's magical power, you can't be arrogant. After all, the Grey Mirror Demon King Mephisto was too arrogant and offended wizards, and offended a group of wizards. Then he was hunted down by wizards all the way, destroyed the Demon King's dungeon, defeated his Demon King ecology, and finally sealed him in the depths of this Demon King's tomb. What is more terrifying than a wizard is a group of wizards. Mephisto, who doesn't even understand this principle, died without any injustice. While thinking, Tucker looked to the side and saw the corpse of the leader-level creature Bloodthirsty Bull that was like a hill. Before, the Bloodthirsty Bull leader was beaten by Philly Blow and Gerard. He was seriously injured and dying, but not dead. At this time, the leader of the Bloodthirsty Bull, who had struggled on the verge of death for an hour, finally took his last breath. In a rising blood-red light, the extraordinary crystal containing source energy and life slowly condensed. It can be used as both a life material and a source of energy. For me, the extraordinary crystal of the mountain giant bear is a perfect life material. This bloodthirsty barbarian bull blood crystal can be used as a source of energy material after refining. Very good. Tucker put the bloodthirsty barbarian bull leader crystal into his bag without hesitation. Then Tucker looked at Blank and Philly Blow fighting in the darkness not far away. The entry point Tucker chose for Blank was already the most perfect. If Blank couldn't win in this situation, then Tucker would have to think about whether he should have a winner-takes-all game. Fortunately, Blank's strength is indeed strong enough. His sword skills and body movements are first class. Many of Philly Blow's witchcraft can be picked up and even cut by his sword. His superb body movements, as well as some blocking methods, plus methods such as shadow steps. It can also avoid some of Philly Blow's small killer moves. Philly Blow, those few quick-released small witchcrafts, had no effect on the leaders and lords. But in the fight, these hidden tricks can often work wonders. As he gradually fell into disadvantage, Philly Blow began to use some of his powerful methods. Blank also took out his own unique skills. As the fight became increasingly fierce, Tucker was also enlightened by the confrontation between masters. After all, in the tower, Tucker rarely saw such a high-intensity life and death fight. Even if Philly Blow was in perfect condition, Tucker felt that Blank was much stronger. What's more, Philly Blow was not in good condition. As Blank increased the strength of Philly Blow, the situation on the battlefield began to gradually overwhelm Philly Blow. At this time, Philly Blow's shield was gone, and he had no time to put on a shield for himself. He was bleeding from several places on his body, and the next moment the sword might pass by his neck. Two more flashes of sword light flashed, and blood splashed. I am a member of the Star Trek Order, you can't kill me. Philly Blow's face was pale, and he tried to use this identity to fight for a glimmer of life. But Blank, who was already bloodthirsty, had no intention of stopping. The sword skills containing a little rune power, carrying the green light of source energy, swished and swept across his head, taking away his head. Even if you are the Emperor's own son, you must die today. Blank roared in a murderous voice. He cut off Philly Blow's head. Still felt not satisfied. Medium and long-range sword skills fell one after another, and the second round of output began at Philly Blow's body. Until Tucker appeared. Blank stopped. Although angry, he was still rational. At least, Blank did not destroy Philly Blow's ring staff and storage bracelet. But the wizard robe has become a beggar's clothes. There is not much value in recycling. He collected the arcane ring staff and storage bracelet. Tucker threw a nightmare oil bomb. Looking at the corpse engulfed by the red and black flames, Tucker recalled the relevant information about the Star Trek Monastery in his mind. Star Trek Monastery is an organization that believes in the great spirit of steam and rail. Compared with the Dark Sun Church, this organized and large-scale system force, Star Trek Monastery, is relatively loose. Looseness does not mean that the members of Star Trek Monastery are weak. Usually, a powerful strong man, with some potential extraordinary people, can establish a monastery base. Without sufficient talent and strength, it is still difficult to enter the Star Trek Monastery. Once you enter the Star Trek Monastery, it basically means that there are powerful extraordinary people behind you. But Blank is obviously not afraid of the so-called Star Trek Monastery. After all, he himself is a member of the extraordinary family. What's more, that Philip Lowe died in this dangerous Demon King's tomb. It is very likely that no one from the Star Trek Order will investigate this issue. With a complete destruction of Philip Lowe's body, Tucker threw another excited light-shaping spear ball. With a boom, the remaining wizard characteristics of Philip Lowe were also completely destroyed by Tucker. On the side, Blank secretly marveled at Tucker's pragmatic, rigorous and reliable style of doing things. This really does not leave any room for potential investigation. Although, he was the one who killed people. Unknowingly, Blank learned another trick. After returning, you must buy some similar witchcraft scrolls. You can even ask Tucker more about which types are more suitable to buy. After all, he has a lot of experience in this matter. After handling all this, Tucker turned around and threw Gerald's extraordinary storage bracelet directly to Blank. Blank did not refuse. Tucker got the leader-level materials and the things of the arcane wizard Philip Lowe, which was considered to be a good deal. He then got Gerard's relics, which was considered a reward. Just as Blank was about to ask what to do next, boom! The world began to wriggle again. And this time, it was completely different from the previous wriggling. As the Demon King's tomb layer squirmed, the sound of the ash tide clattering sounded as if it was going to submerge one layer dimension after another. Indistinctly, a dark, deep, mysterious and powerful, dark sun was slowly rising in the depths of darkness. Even the darkness and fog of the Demon King's tomb were slowly torn apart by the power of the dark sun. The Dark Sun Church not only wanted to occupy Lamor, but also the ancient Demon King's tomb sealed place. They also wanted to raise the Dark Sun here. Transform this place into a place of faith for the great Dark Sun Mother Goddess. Chapter 98. You must be taught a lesson. As the Dark Sun rises, the creeping of the layers is no longer as smooth and natural as before. The world shakes more violently. In the cave of the mountain giant bear, the Demon King's sequence is already crumbling. Feeling the dark sun that has risen, Goodle can feel his skin being stung, and natural life is crying out. The natural ecology is being destroyed by the dark sun. The place illuminated by the embers of the dark sun is off faith. He has benefited from the extraordinary environment, and when the extraordinary environment is destroyed, he will be hurt more severely. Goodle's brows are almost frowned together. The dark sun came too suddenly. He took a deep breath and said, "This place is no longer valuable. The dark sun is about to occupy this place. Even the layers here will be broken. We have to leave here as soon as possible." The team, who had been prepared for a long time, led by Honey, lit the light of the lantern and pushed away the darkness and mist. In this world that is about to be broken, they began to seek a way back. As the dark sun rises, the strength of the several teams that entered this time all started to return at the same time. A territory where banshees were rampant. In a while, the banshee leader would be killed. But the rise of the dark sun forced the team to give up the attack on the banshee leader and immediately began to retreat. The Lamor Tower itself was bearing the attack of the dark sun. As elite and talented members specially sent to explore the depths of the tomb, they were naturally prepared to deal with the dark sun. But, even so, they couldn't stay for long. After all, the pollution of the dark sun would really cost lives. During this period of time, the persistence of the Lamor Tower had paid too much such a price. The shaking of the world slowly ended. Glancing at the depths of darkness, although Blank only vaguely saw a trace of outlines, his eyes had already produced a slight stinging feeling. He turned his head quickly, but within the outline of his vision, a round of dark sunspots did not dissipate for a long time. The light of the dark sun. It will directly carve the dark sun in the center of the outline of his vision. It was really a terrifying existence that would explode if you looked at it for a second. However, Blank saw Tucker looking at the direction that had caused him a tingling sensation just now. "Aren't you afraid of the pollution of the dark sun?" Blank asked curiously. "Afraid?" Tucker responded straightforwardly. "If you were afraid, would you still dare to look?" Tucker smiled. "There are different levels of fear. Staring at it for a long time, which is almost a blasphemy against the dark sun, is definitely not allowed. But if you glance at it a little more, there's still no problem. Your wizard ecology is really a bit outrageous. You are not a steam wizard, right?" Blank said with a little envy. "Let's go." Tucker walked towards the last stop. Blank looked at Tucker, took a deep breath, and followed resolutely. "I thought you didn't dare to come." Tucker glanced at Blank, who was following. I want to go back, but I can't find the way. Rather than running around blindly, I might as well follow you. Blank crossed his arms over his chest and said lazily behind Tucker. In that case. He rubbed his fingers on his left hand under his wizard robe. With a few flashes of lightning arcs, the spear of light-shaping ball fell into the lantern. With a strong sacred light with a little thunder punishment, it bloomed. Huh? Aren't you a shadow wizard? How come you can also do light magic, and such a strong light magic? You can't really be a double-sequence genius. Tucker ignored Blank's inquiry. Instead, he stood in a seemingly ordinary position. Come here. After Blank approached, Tucker threw the lantern of light to him. Later, we will see the sun of the Dark Sun Church, and the altar there will also rise the Dark Sun. Dark Sun Church, sun? Close contact with the altar rising the Dark Sun. There is also later, which is obviously a word close to the present time. Tucker's words contained too much information. It made Blank's head buzz. This excitement came too fast. He couldn't accept it. The Holy Sun of the Dark Sun Church? Tucker, you are not telling the truth. With the strength of the two of us, are we going there to die? Wait, can we discuss it carefully first? At least let me understand the situation there. Blank's face was a little pale. He even doubted whether Tucker would take him with him. The Dark Sun will not wait for us, it will only get stronger. Tucker began to accumulate the magical power of the phase walker while walking. There is no need to accumulate power for short distance walking. But in this case of crossing the layer domain and the distance is long. A level 19 phase walker, with only 18 fragments, plus a person, still needs a certain amount of time to accumulate power. After I get over there, I'll start the ritual witchcraft, which will take some time. And during this time, you must protect me. Otherwise, you're done. What? Are you sure it's me? And not us? Blank's temples throbbed violently, and he questioned loudly. You heard it right, it's you. I can escape. Tucker's answer made Blank curse immediately. Tucker, you damn devil. As Blank cursed, his vision instantly rose rapidly, and his body began to lose weight. The original layer quickly moved away. The world around him presented an extremely abstract line form. At the same time, there were weird whispers, weird laughter, and inexplicable low surging roars. A large number of weird and incredible things filled his sight and filled his hearing, making his thinking slow and stiff. Transcendental realm. This is the mysterious transcendental realm. Damn. This is a realm travel. How can he travel through realms? This is impossible. Then, Blank fell to a brand new realm at an extremely fast speed and trajectory. Before he could react, he had already landed with a thump. This ended his thrilling and swift debut of traveling through the transcendental realm. At the same time, the new space, the new world, hit his heart hard, causing his heart to beat wildly and violently. The Dark Sun power that made his soul tremble was close at hand. On the altar of the Dark Sun, there was a very twisted and weird outline of a life form. If he looked at it for a second longer, his soul would probably sink into it. Everything, was telling one thing. That is, he was dead, and he was definitely dead today. At this moment, Blank became quiet. Inhale, inhale. With a deep breath, Blank closed his eyes. The world became quiet. The sword in his hand seemed to have life as he breathed. It also began to breathe. The extraordinary swordsman, the secret of the rune sword art, sword breathing. On the edge of death, Blank broke through the last barrier. The sword is the eye, the sword is also life. Life blooming with breathing. Entering the wonderful state of sword breathing, Blank saw everything around him with his sword. He saw the Dark Sun and the corpse sitting on the altar, still alive. At the same time, he also saw that Tucker behind him quickly took out a customized wooden altar. Tucker even took the time to glance at him. Although it was just a simple glance, Blank felt it. Tucker's sight actually matched the veins of sword breathing. This scene almost made Blank leave the state of sword breathing. Damn, can he be in this state of harmony with the veins of sword breathing at all times? What a monster. Tucker took out a barrier ritual small wooden table as quickly as possible, on which the materials had been fixed. While lighting the candles, Tucker was already reciting the ritual prayers in the most pious manner, praying for the coming of the great barrier. Whether it was the Dark Sun Church's spying and stealing of the core treasures on the second floor of the Demon King's tomb, or the Dark Sun Church's subsequent pollution and transformation of the Demon King's tomb, which made it impossible for Tucker to anchor and hang up here stably, or the grudge between Tucker and the Dark Sun Church. Tucker had enough reasons to teach this Dark Sun Church's son who blocked his own development a good lesson. Chapter 99 End. The headless corpse on the Dark Sun altar lifted the head beside it. It didn't matter whether it was the original body or not. It was placed directly on the broken neck, and a large amount of viscous liquid filament tentacles quickly sewed the body and the head together. Even the docking position of the head and the body was not quite correct. But this weird stitched monster still came alive. The weird stitched monster turned its head, and a pair of eyes filled with emptiness, death, and even blood that was still seeping in looked over coldly. What they saw was a swordsman and a wizard. The swordsman held a sword and blocked in front. The wizard was chanting a low spell, praying for something to come. The holy son of the Dark Sun Church, Wendell Francis, could feel that there was a faint echo of majestic, mysterious power. Wendell Francis set his sights on the extraordinary wizard they had briefly contacted before. This time entering the ancient tomb of the Demon King. It was a huge help for Wendell Francis. After all, he had not been here for long, and he urgently needed a lot of powerful extraordinary characteristics to build his own extraordinary ecology and support his powerful life state. The extraordinary characteristics of the Demon King and the Demon King's tomb are not low in compatibility with the Dark Sun sequence. It is one of the important sources of materials for him to stabilize his extraordinary ecology. So, when he knew that this remote corner had an unsealed Demon King's tomb, the layout was launched. In the Dark Sun Church, the top fanatic team entered in the mode of burial. Build an altar and sacrifice life. Chant prayer spells and pray for the Son of God to come. In the end, Wendell Francis came as promised. Although he didn't believe that a small place like Lamore could have an extraordinary person who could destroy the ritual and altar of the Son of God's coming. However, in order to be able to take root here steadily, he even regarded this place as a long-term landing point. Wendell Francis still observed and peeked at many layers of domains. At the same time, he also made a lot of arrangements for the several entrances to enter here. If those Lamore and Saint Lander supernaturals want to come in and destroy, Wendell can teach them a lesson they will never forget. His arrangement is perfect. But the accidents still happen after all. The supernatural wizard who looks powerful and has had a brief contact with him. He came with a swordsman so abruptly. Not only did he pass through a lot of his arrangements, he also came very close to him. Tucker. Wendell Francis' voice echoed in this small world like a wave. Blank's ears felt slightly hot, and then there were bursts of tinnitus. Now he can only rely on the breathing sword in his hand. And Tucker stood still in the face of this attack containing the Dark Sun mantra. The power of the barrier summoned by the ritual has been communicated. The Great Barrier is about to come. Just like the truth that magic can only be defeated by magic. Only rituals can be used to fight rituals. Darkness is like a wave, sweeping and surging from all directions. In the darkness, densely packed, a large number of little bell demons roared over. Their target was Tucker. As long as Tucker's ritual was interrupted, the mysterious power could be prevented from descending. Sword breath, watermark. Blank swung his sword, and the sword light was like a watermark, soft and natural, and contained the delicate destructive power of the sword. Chi chi chi. A large number of small bell demons were chopped to pieces. But more small bell demons rushed over. The sword in Blank's hand turned into endless watermarks, interweaving into a huge net, blocking those small bell demons outside. But the number of small bell demons was too many, and it was getting denser and denser. Blank, who had just mastered the sword breath state, was under increasing pressure as the fight went on, and his defense began to show loopholes. A wisp of blood from the small bell demon fell on Blank's cheek. Chi chi chi. His cheek was quickly corroded. Then, blood continued to seep in. It fell on Blank and made a hissing sound. But even so, Blank still fought to the death. He didn't care about getting hurt, and he wanted to convert more of the power of the sword into protection for Tucker. My sword should be more powerful, faster, and even more precise and clever. I can hold on longer. Damn it. The power of corrosion made Blank's whole body tear with pain. Blank felt that he couldn't hold on for too much longer, and maybe there would be a flaw in his defense in the next breath. At this moment, buzz, accompanied by a slight tremor. The attacking little bell demons became chaotic and quickly flew around. Then the silver light shone on the body, and even the pain of being corroded was reduced a lot. The silver gray barrier, like crystal, quickly condensed in front of him. No, it condensed from all sides, just like the four walls of a room, and even the silver crystal would automatically cap the top, building a small square crystal palace. Blank looked at this strange scene in front of him and couldn't help but take 2 steps back. Be careful, don't step on my barrier ritual altar. Otherwise, you will really die here. Tucker's voice suddenly came from behind. Blank turned around quickly. He found that on the small altar, in the ritual whirlwind of the rising flames, a silver-gray stream of light could be vaguely seen penetrating into this world. And the strange silver-gray barrier came from this small ceremony. What is this? Blank asked with some doubts. This is the Great Barrier, Tucker said in a deep voice. Barrier. Blank's heart trembled slightly. Are you still a believer of the barrier? Yes. Tucker nodded. Blank's eyes wandered over Tucker and shook his head. I can't tell at all. Okay. Tucker took a deep breath. Your mission has been completed, just leave the next thing to me. After Tucker said this, Blank felt the pain coming like a wave. He almost couldn't stand steadily. He glanced at the dark sun and the altar not far away. Blank was surprised to find that in the area of the small silver crystal house built by Tucker, the dark sun did not seem to do much harm to him. You know, just now, he did not even dare to open his eyes. Blank sat down in the corner, first drank a bottle of recovery potion, then took out a healing scroll and began to recover. Looking at the many small bell demons flying around the barrier outside, Tucker pressed the silver-gray crystal barrier with one hand. The flames rose wildly from the outside of the silver-gray barrier. The powerful barrier built by Tucker can be used as his own medium for casting spells. Ecological fit, touch perception, and precise control. The 3 make Tucker's control of the barrier more and more handy. The little bell demon that had just made Blank suffer so much was now running around in fear. But Tucker's weird night terror flame swept too fast, and a large number of small bell demons that did not escape were burned to death on the spot. Those who were not burned to death did not dare to come over again. This scene made the corners of Blank's eyes twitch slightly after he had been struggling for half a day. Sure enough, only magic can defeat magic. A large number of burning bell demon corpses fell. However, the rising nightmare flames could never cross the invisible barrier and touch the dark sun altar. In the falling flames, the corpse-stitched monster on the altar, the carrier of the dark sun, St. Wendell Francis. His eyes were on the silver-gray barrier. Silver holy wall. Wendell Francis slowly retracted his gaze. You are a smart person, but I didn't expect that you would make such a stupid decision. The power of the barrier will erode your will and soul, and you will eventually become a puppet of the barrier, and kneel and sleep forever in front of the barrier. Tucker responded lightly at this time. Whether it is stupid or not, you will know later. But I like your last sentence very much. I hope I can give it to you. Wendell Francis vaguely felt that something was wrong. But he looked over his head at the dark sun rising gradually, and the slightly strange feeling was gradually suppressed. As long as the dark sun rises, this place will be his. He is waiting for the dark sun to rise. And the stupid wizard and swordsman dared to stay here and wait. What are they waiting for? Waiting to die? To put it another way, as this place collapses, he is the projection of power coming, and at most he can retreat without any loss. And the 2 guys on the opposite side, if they dare to stay here, they will definitely be destroyed physically. Wendell Francis has enough confidence and advantages to fight against the other side here. Chapter 100 Manually Polluting the Son of God. Let Blank block for quite some time. Tucker prayed to the Great Barrier. Relying on its own ecology, it has the barrier characteristics. Tucker guided the silver holy wall, which is more advanced than the iron coupling source wall. The powerful silver holy wall not only blocked the pollution of the dark sun, but also helped Tucker to line with the opponent here for a long time and steadily. At the same time, Tucker can also teach the opponent a better lesson. I know that you are very strong. But if I turn on the plugin, upgrade the SSS level talent, pollute your faith, and make you a devout believer of the barrier, how should you deal with it? Yes. At this moment, Tucker relied on the silver holy wall to block the dark sun. He had already begun to cut and anchor the barrier's belief veins. Tucker's wizard ecology continued to absorb the power of the silver holy wall, then cut off the belief in the Great Barrier, and then completely anchored the veins of faith on the veins of the dark sun who was projected. Although the dark sun did not come, but his will came. Anchoring faith in the opponent's will undoubtedly have a better effect. Yes. At this moment, Tucker is manually polluting the son of the evil god from the dark sun. And Tucker is doing it quite covertly. Before, Tucker was groping, and it was a bit troublesome to anchor the opponent's projected will at a certain distance. However, after mastering the powerful magic power of phase walking, with a thorough understanding and perception of the phase, and at the same time mastering the wonderful power of phase, Tucker also found that he could also phase shuttle the veins. Cut off the faith veins of the Great Barrier, and directly phase shuttle the veins to anchor the opponent's projected will. This is more difficult than controlling it at a longer distance. In addition, the opponent is in the alter projection state. Perception and insight will be greatly reduced. This completely creates an excellent opportunity for Tucker to pollute the opponent. It seems that Tucker and the opponent are in a stalemate. In fact, Tucker is secretly doing things crazily. The deeper the barrier, the more profound, thorough and pious the power of faith is, the deeper, more thorough and pious it is. When Tucker summoned the iron coupling source wall, Tanilu became a crazy licker of the iron coupling source wall. At this time, the silver holy wall is one level higher than the faith power of the iron coupling source wall. When the power of the silver holy wall began to affect the son of the dark sun through projection, it was probably too late for him to counterattack. He is obviously the son of the dark sun church, but he has an indescribable belief in foreign objects. I don't know whether the son of the dark sun church will be treated as a pagan or a heretic. While Tucker was operating frantically in secret, the son of the dark sun Wendell was not idle either. In his opinion, this wizard who can summon the power of the Great Barrier and can still maintain enough self-reason must not be left. As long as he gathers his strength as soon as possible and completely breaks the layers of this world, then, the two people in front of him will definitely die here. The two were in a stalemate. Time passed by every second. The tide of ash continued to penetrate. The power of the dark sun was also constantly accumulating, settling, and growing. Even Brank, who had recovered from his injuries, could see the terrifying outline of the dark sun from the darkness. Although Brank guessed that Tucker and the stitched corpse on the altar might be fighting with some kind of magic means that he could not touch at all. But seeing that the dark sun was getting bigger and bigger, and the outline was getting clearer and clearer, Brank was really unsure. Tucker, we are not really waiting to die here. To be honest, your crystal coffin, the light of the crystal house is gradually fading. Or, if you strengthen a little, we can resist for a while longer, although I don't know what's the point of resisting here. At worst, we can join forces to kill it, it's not impossible. That strange-looking stitched corpse may not be our opponent. Brank, who was pacing back and forth, couldn't help but whispered a suggestion. Seeing that Tucker ignored him and was completely immersed in the small altar ceremony. Shaking his head, Brank muttered again. The ashes of the dark sun also made my skin sting. It must have been contaminated. After I go back. If I can go back, it will take at least half a month to purify myself. Well, speaking of purification, I remembered. The junior girls in the priest class seem to be about to enroll. Damn, what's the point of thinking about these things now? It must be the dark sun that contaminated my mind. This damn dark sun. In Blank's low complaint. Almost done. Tucker's plain voice suddenly sounded. What? Blank, who got the feedback, hurriedly looked over. Even Wendell Francis, the son of the dark sun who had been immersed in urging the dark sun to rise, looked over to Tucker. Wendell didn't need to care about the enemy, he just needed to do everything he needed to do. Then the victory would definitely belong to him. But he didn't mind listening to the other party's failure speech on the eve of victory. Tucker stood up. The eyes of the man and the corpse were all focused on Tucker. Tucker slowly placed one hand on the silver holy wall. Then Tucker smiled and looked at the projection of the dark sun son Wendell Francis. Did you feel it? What? Wendell Francis examined the great silver holy wall that Tucker was holding with one hand. The brows of his stitched corpse began to twist violently. He vaguely felt something. Buzz. As Tucker's source energy poured in, the silver holy light surged and sparkled like a wave, filling the entire space. Before, Tucker restrained the light of the silver holy wall in order not to stimulate the evil sun and prevent him from feeling a secret manipulation. Now, he was going to stimulate the other party, so he didn't need to hide it, but needed to increase his strength. As the silver-gray holy light reflected in the depths of his pupils, the breath of the silver holy wall filled his perception, and the Great Barrier's majestic and vast sound of tranquility rang in his ears. The stitched corpse carrying the power of Wendell Francis' projection exploded. But the invisible force solidified the exploded flesh and blood in the air. A strange hollow flesh and blood outline was formed, which was the original outline of Wendell Francis. The previous stability, naturalness, and calmness turned into madness, distortion, and roaring at this moment. The flesh and blood collapsed and turned into a torrent, surging with a crazy roar. The anger was like a volcano rumbling. Blaster. God! The voice came from the dark sun, and the world was shaken. A large number of surviving small bell demons in the distance all exploded on the spot, turning into a torrent of flesh and blood, gathering towards the projection of Wendell. Each word contained a certain kind of mantra of deterrence, and heavily bombarded Tucker's silver holy wall. In response to Wendell, it was a stronger silver holy light. Shameless blasphemer! You will definitely pay a terrible price for your blasphemy. I curse you. The mantra of hatred rumbled down, and the world was shaking violently under this fierce impact. Even the dark sun was rumbling towards Tucker. Wendell, who was blasphemed and insulted by Tucker, showed unprecedented madness. He would rather have nothing. He was determined to destroy the guy who blasphemed his faith. At this time, Tucker behind the silver holy wall looked calm, quietly looking at Wendell, who had completely fallen into madness and anger. Do you think this is the end? This is just the beginning of your nightmare. As the voice fell, the golden light showed the posture of veins, like blood vessels throughout the barrier of the silver holy wall. It was perfectly outlined in the silver holy light. Remember, this is the upper wall of the silver holy wall, the crystal source wall, the barrier world, the original crystal barrier. Every word of Tucker exploded in Wendell Francis' imprisoned mind. No. In the angry roar, the flesh and blood outline of the Holy Son, Wendell Francis knelt down. He showed unparalleled obedience and submission to the Great Barrier. At this moment, he is a devout believer of the Great Barrier. At the same time, the power of Dark Sun also sensed the invasion of the foreign object. Then, as the carrier of the foreign object, Wendell Francis was squeezed out alive by the power of Dark Sun. Dark Sun squeezed out his son. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.